Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I'm your co-host, M. Dave. I'm here with my co-hosts, Crimson, Rio, Tom Brady, and Zyfox, who may join us later. Say hi, everybody.
Hey,
What's
what's
up,
up,
everyone?
everyone?
Yeah, what's up?
All right, just to make things clear, we're gonna have the format coming back, which we had episodes ago. For those of you guys that seen the episode, we had a timer introduced where we would go around the table. Everybody would have their 2 minutes to talk, no interruptions, and then it would become open discussion. We're bringing that back, and it's gonna start for this one.
All right, and on the same token, we're trying to limit the podcast to an hour just to be respectful of everybody's time. I understand sometimes you guys want to see more content. We'll do that for you. Like last time, we almost did a 2-hour podcast. We'll keep this one a little bit shorter. I would like to introduce our returning guest. He is one of the best Gears players in the world, and I assume a former competitor, if I may say. We'll get to that in a moment here. Burrito Voorhees, aka King Jr. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, what's up? It's been a minute. Thanks for having me again.
Yep, and Franco, just to refresh our memory, where can we find you on Twitter?
Burrito Voorhees, no spaces.
All right, awesome, thank you.
That's right. And Rio can also link your Twitter in the YouTube description. I think we have to address the elephant in the room. And then we'll take that discussion, take that conversation, and move on from there and try to address different points. Why did you quit the game? At least competitively speaking. Why?
I don't know if any of you guys read my twit longer or how often you guys are on Twitter, but it wasn't that long. So, but to shorten it up, it's just for a long time I've thought it's just so stressful to compete because the amount of just scrub factor the game is filled with. Like you got the comeback mechanics, you got the wake up buttons, and breakaway issues, and just all these other things that are just like frustrating to deal with. And I just had enough of it because I was just playing the game for pretty much the money that the community was driving into it. But I just realized it's not worth doing anymore because you've been there for some of my angry moments. Like, I'm just like, oh, screw this. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I can't deal with that anymore. Especially after talking to you, Dante, and my brother about competing. Like, I was just realizing, like, yeah, they're right. I think I should just take their advice and just stop
I
playing.
think, not to cut you off, I think you've been pretty humble as a player. I mean, I've seen much, much worse, and I won't name any names, but you know exactly who I'm talking about, probably. I think that if I may suggest, before we blame the game, don't you think it's a huge issue for you as a player? I think it's fair to say that you're fairly, excuse me, offensive based, right? When you have a game like this where the OK system, I think in most people's opinion, um, objectively speaking, is fairly weak to what it was. Well, obviously in MKX anyway, but even in, I would argue, in all the other NRS games. Don't you think that kind of hurts your play style because you want to be in the other guy's face, yet you're literally forced to back off in most situations when you knock somebody down? Do you think that's an issue that you need to address as a player, or you think it's not an issue?
I mean, not to sound like biased, because I mean, I obviously don't like the game, but I still see like potential in it. But not to be biased, just because of my dislike for the game. I think like if you're a rushdown character, you're pretty much like not favored on knockdown. Like if you're a runaway character, you don't even have to worry about enforcing your Oki. Really, you could just run away, like Cetrion, for example, or something. Or if you're someone who circumvents the wake up system, like Jackie, then you're chilling. So, and as
Franco,
a grappler too, like oh my bad, Rio. As a grappler too, like another thing, like with the wake up system being so like crappy, they're always pressing something. So like as a grappler, especially with an 18 frame grappler, command grab, you got to be like really careful. You pretty much have to command grab on a read on Oki. It's not worth doing in my opinion. So they like kind of hinders Garrus a lot.
Well, I think people in our audience are generally kind of.
Can I quickly just say something?
Yeah, if I may just.
I wanna touch on what Franco said
You
with
just say this because I think it kind of addresses the issue that the audience has with us, if you don't mind. I think the audience kind of general of us is kind of sick and tired of us complaining. So this podcast we're going to try to focus on the solutions, like what are the actual solutions specifically, instead of constantly complaining about the same thing every podcast, which literally does nothing, right? Because let's focus on the solutions, and that's what we plan to do in a moment here. But Rio, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Franco touched on the defense on Wake Up being really powerful. It's hard to start offense. I've seen this from quite a few players. Foxy, obviously one of the best players in the world, he actually feels that defense is too strong in this game. Being able to walk back, being able to, there being so much risk to someone trying to press a button on you, and then being able to floss block or something. Do you think that the defense, Franco, should be looked at or toned down in a way?
Does he mean defense like specifically in Wake Up, or like do you know like any specific
Like
details?
like you get hit, you get knocked down. How do you enforce how do you enforce offense? And how do you deal with someone who's very good at floss blocking? Because you throw out like a string or something, if they floss block it, you're getting launched.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's why I asked for specifics if you had any, because I wouldn't even say most of the cases that floss block is used in is defense. I think it's more so to offense, like because people are stealing turns with it. Even on knockdown too, like if you happen to try an Oki or something, whether it's with a poke or with a pretty decent string,
Actually,
they can
this
like
goes
delay
into-
Wake Up into the floss block off the ground and full combo you. So I think the defense on Wake Up is definitely too strong. It's just really hard to deal with.
That's a good topic, by the way. It actually segues into what you want to talk about, Rio. And because this is not was one of the 5 topics, I think we should talk with Wake Up, because I want to talk about something that I've had in listening to stuff that he said. So I think we should start with that and make that the 6th thing, and then go to the other 5, because that actually goes into what Franco's talking about and what Foxy was saying.
Well, let's start.
Yeah, well, really quickly, I just want to
Go
ask Franco one more question because I'm still shocked that Franco has announced, he's done playing this game competitively. And because when I look at Franco, you're such a passionate player. You played every NRS game. You've been there through the beginning, through the end. Would you say that you feel that this is the worst NRS game they've ever made?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It is, but like I said, I see the potential in it, and I'm not gonna like just bash the game and be like, oh, I'm ready for the next game. Like, I want this game to get better and fixed, because I love playing Garrus. I love playing Shao Kahn and some other characters. Like, Garrus is one of the coolest characters NRS has ever made, and it's kind of hard to pick a favorite, honestly. But Garrus is definitely up there with like Ferritor and MK9 Smoke. I really like playing a lot. Like, so it's just I don't know. It's just lately these patches have been really small, and the amount of them has just been really like little. So I don't know what to think from NRS's perspective, what they're doing, and I don't have my hopes up, but I don't also have like a super negative perspective of what they're gonna do. I'm just like in the middle.
Well, Franco, let's start with the Wake Up system. I think most of us already know. I mean, I'm sure our audience could write an essay about how Tom feels, how I feel, how Rio, how Crimson, how any of us feel. But let's focus on the solutions this time. And I want to start with Tom. I want to start. Yeah. I'm going to start with you. So Dragon has just uploaded a video where he, from his perspective, what he thinks is wrong with the game, which is always interesting because very few players actually go into the solution. There's a lot of complaining, yet he uploaded a 45-minute video. I encourage you guys to check it out, and I think I have it open right now. It is on YouTube. Please search Dragon_FGC, everything wrong with Mortal Kombat 11, how to improve it. Those are his opinions. Please check it out. Tom is going to give a quick, brief summary, only speaking about the Wake Up. Go ahead. What did Dragon say?
So,
Wait. Super quick before we get into it. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. But I just want to give people like a quick idea, so that because there's probably a lot of people like, wait, we didn't see Dragon's video. We're lost. So just a quick summary. Dragon made a video breaking down, like the 4 things wrong with MK11 that have to be changed, and in the list was 1 was the biggest problem was breakaway, 2 was floss blocking, 3 and 4 were jump kicks and anti-airs, and then 5 was fatal blows.
Okay, so let me just touch on this.
Tom, and I understand you're probably going by some private conversation as well. Let's just be clear. I don't want if you want to reveal those or not.
No. This is something. This is something that I heard him say on his stream. So Dragon streams every once in a while. He does every Sunday. He does like sub Sundays, but a lot of times he'll also sometimes like someone will ask a question and then he'll go into detail on like something like, okay, let me just show you. Let me explain. And the Wake Up system, this is kind of like half my solution, but half hearing what he said was the problem, and it just made me really think about it. So a lot of the stuff in this game that we talk about, like for example, Rio brought up Foxy's and I've heard this before. Foxy say, oh, the defensive options are too strong. Really, a lot of this game is something small that causes a huge ripple effect. So it comes off like the offense is too strong here. No. The defense is too strong, and we can't agree. Offense. There are situations to where defensive situations are masquerading as defense with more offensive options from a defensive situation and defensive options from an offensive situation. And really, the wake up system is really kind of like a microcosm. It really kind of shows a ripple effect that makes it seem like, oh, the problem is defense. The problem isn't really defensive options, because a lot of times on the ground, the problem is everything is everything. It's almost like it's all meshed together. Offensive options and defensive options, you can't really tell. Is he being offensive or defensive? Because they're both the same things in a lot of ways in certain situations. Like on the ground, you're both offensive and defensive. Really, I think the main issue here is that the way it was done has, like I said, the offense and defense kind of smushed together. So somebody will say, no, the wake up system is whatever. And another guy will say, no, it's the defense is too strong. And the wake up system is an example of that. The real issue is the way the game was done, they really kind of smushed it all together. So for example, usually in fighting games, you have knockdowns that are, you have a hard knockdown where most of the knockdowns in the game are not going to be hard knockdowns. And if you don't know what that is, a hard knockdown is when you can get knocked down and you can just roll away, just in general. MK11 is kind of different in that, as opposed to saying most of the knockdowns are going to be able to be tech rolled in general, and then you have very few knockdowns in the game, otherwise it would become abusable. Very few knockdowns are hard knockdowns. Some characters don't even have one. But the problem is that they didn't go hard knockdown, not hard knockdown. They said every knockdown is a hard knockdown unless you have meter, and then you can always roll. So every situation both is and is not a hard knockdown based on the bar, which of course it's rarely that they don't have at least one bar to roll. So the real issue is, for one, the forward roll is just an ambiguous mechanic. It's both offensive, defensive. It just causes way too many problems. It probably shouldn't even be in the game. But then there's the issue of, what are you supposed to do? Just stand there and get up?
Tom, you got to get to the point. I'm sorry. You got to get to the point.
I'm trying, man. But come on, man. You can't.
No, I can. Get to the point, please.
Okay, so the point here is, because, never mind. You have knockdowns that, instead of like saying, all right, so every knockdown is going to be, it will be tech roll, they say, like I said, everything is going to be hard knockdown until you have bar. What you should do is have a situation where most knockdowns are not hard knockdowns, so you can roll no meter, always roll backwards. So for those knockdowns, you have the option up 2, up 3, backward roll if you want to get away, and delay wake up. But then the problem is the attacker is losing their advantage because they don't have the ability to control the knockdown state. They might say, okay, well, I'm going to forego some of my damage here in order to get a hard knockdown. And some hard knockdowns knock you too far. Some could only be corner. It could be by character, and that does add depth. And now you say, okay, now I have controlled the knockdown situation. Now forward roll, let's say they take it out of the game. You don't have the option to backward roll because I have taken away some of my damage potential for some wake up setup. So obviously, if you get like a random jump kick, it's not like, oh my God, I'm always stuck here. You could always roll away meterlessly. You're still able to get away and keep your defense. So you're able to keep your defensive freedom in most situations. So like an accidental hit doesn't leave you in a terrible situation where you can't roll or whatever. But the attacker can also say, I'm going to segue, I'm going to sacrifice some damage. And now you still have up 3, up 2, delay wake up, but with forward roll gone and now backward roll not on the table because I was able to control the situation. Now you have a little more depth, a little more situational stuff in which the attacker can control the situation, while at the same time the person who's getting hit is not like, oh my God, the most random hit. A jab hits me out of the air, I can't get up now because, whatever. I get jump kicked out of the air, I can't get up. In most of those situations, you're still going to have a lot of defensive options unless the attacker consciously sacrifices something, be it position, be it damage, to change that situation. And even still in that situation, you would still have your up 3, up 2, and delay. It causes a more fair wake-up system to where both the attacker is able to maintain some control, while at the same time the person on the defensive end is not stuck there because they got hit with a sweep or jump kicked out of the air or something. So I think that's the problem, and that's the solution.
So what you're pretty much arguing is, well, like hard knockdowns that they have in other fighting games, like I don't know, Street Fighter and Tekken, most notably. Crimson, what do you think about that? And is that a realistic solution? I mean, I personally agree with it, but is it feasible?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that changes the wake up system in a way where you have certain knockdowns where you can, you're still hard reads to get out of them, but in terms of like the timing of someone trying to roll or whatever, you can guarantee pressure. I think that would definitely alleviate some of the main concerns that people have. Because I think there should be a balance, right? I think it's good to have a balance. It doesn't have to be either you can never pressure someone on knockdown or you can always pressure someone on knockdown. I actually like the fact that in this game you actually have to think before you just autopilot offense. And I think that any solution where it establishes some kind of middle ground where you have some hard knockdowns and some you don't is fine. Maybe there are other ways to do it. Maybe you could change the cost of the rolls or like however we get there. I think that kind of solution is good. As far as will they do it or not, it depends on a bunch of factors. One is that this stuff is everywhere in the code, right? It's not just in the multiplayer code that we use to play online and play offline for competitive play, right? It's everywhere. It's in the tutorials, it's in the AI, right? It's all throughout the game. So I know that sometimes changes like that, we just think, yeah, you just flip a switch and it's whatever. But on their end, it might involve 5 or 6 different teams all changing different things in different parts of the game. Dave, I know you think it probably won't happen. If I had to bet, I'd give it 50-50 at best for drastic changes like that. But I think regardless of what they do choose to do, I think keeping the spirit of that, where you make it less easy for people to, just roll their way out of everything, but you don't completely remove it from the game entirely, so you still keep the depth. I think that's the direction that we should be heading in.
Franco, what do you think? King Jr., what do you think about the hard knockdown mechanic being implemented that the Dragon suggested that Tom summarized?
Yeah, I think it's the right direction to go in too, as well. And one of the hard knockdowns is actually one of the first things I used to always look for in the characters I used in previous NRS games to like make sure that I'm always next to my opponent. Like most Bane had mostly hard knockdowns because a lot of his specials were hard knockdowns, but other characters might not have as many hard knockdowns. So like hard knockdowns was like always the thing I looked for in my gameplay in previous NRS games. So I would like that change a lot, or that would be the right direction to go in my opinion.
Rio, what do you think? Because in my personal opinion, and please feel free to challenge my my talking point. I don't think this is extremely unlikely to happen because most of these patches, they don't deal with the actual issues. They change stuff by a couple of frames, but they're not really actually gonna, because it would require a lot of work on their part to actually go back and add combo enders that would create such situations where you can actually hard knock, where you have a string, it acts as a hard knockdown for certain characters. I'm not saying every character should have this, but maybe if a character is offensive, then they should have access to this, right? What do you think?
Well, I think it depends how they do it. Like, why remove the ability to wake up rolls, but then introduce hard knockdowns? I don't think they need to go overkill, because you gotta be careful. You don't want the game to boil down to, okay, everybody just does the same BMB that always goes into a hard knockdown ender and then strike throw over and over. I think that would make the game a lot stale than people would imagine it would become. Instead of them adding a hard knockdown or going about it by removing rolls, why don't they just add a new mechanic that counters rolls instead of just removing options? Why not just add more to the game? Why do we have to take away?
I mean, there already are mechanics. You can throw, but the issue is it's very, very risky when you throw.
Yeah, but that's my point. Why don't they add more mechanics like that beat throw? Like, what if they made it so every character's one of their strings goes through roll? Like, for example, Cassie's forward 4, it just goes through roll. So if you roll, you get bodied by that. Like, why don't they just do things like that per character and make it
I know, but
different?
wouldn't that require...
There's too many mix-ups. There's too many options to guess from. Now it's like
Yeah,
you
I
have
don't-
10 options. Now you have 10 options. They have 10 options. It's like, well, which one of these 10 am I supposed to guess? I don't know. Which one?
I don't
doesn't
know
allow
if
the
that would be a
attacker to
solution
control-
either, honestly.
Yeah, the real problem
I just feel like limiting all the options so it's literally A or B, guys. It's so easy. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna go with the heads or the tails? I don't
But it's not
want
Rio.
the game to boil down to the most simplified left or right
Okay,
situation.
let me give you
I
an
think that would
example.
make the game.
Let me give you an example. I agree with you 100%, Rio, because nobody wants to fix one problem by causing another, right? That's not where we want to go. So I agree with Rio 100% on this. But it could be different. Like, I don't want to talk about Sub-Zero, but I'm a Sub-Zero. Let's say he has one string. Back 3, 2, 1, that's a hard knockdown. Well, in open space, he would never get that hard knockdown, but in the corner, he would. So let's say for him, he has a 50-50. Obviously, you don't want a character like him or Terminator. Every touch, he hunts this hard knockdown in which they knock you down, and now Term is mixing you nonstop because every time he touches you, they knock you down. What's the difference between that and a Vortex, right? 50-50 character knocks you down, hard knockdown. Now you have to get up and guess. All you have is delay, up 3, up 2. Well, it might be maybe these characters have something that's a hard knockdown that's very situational. And like let's say for Sub-Zero, it's only off that one string. The only time you can get that off of is in the corner situation. So if you do it in open space, the hard knockdown means nothing. He's never going to be able to get over to you in time before you can get up and move or jump or something like that. And this protects you from like Terminator or whoever random jump kick kicking you out of the air, random air to air punch out of the air, and everything goes bam. I just got hit by something, hard knockdown, and I'm done. This is situational. They could hunt a corner situation, a situation that if I'm here, I need to avoid this situation because then this part of their game opens up. It allows the person on the defense to say, okay, this is only possible in this part of the stage right here. It's not possible anywhere else, and it's only possible in general of something and maybe you want to save your breakaway for that, like a heat in the middle of the string or something like that, you break out of it, because that is an option also. And it does give it's like there needs to be a balance between the defender not being stuck in the same situation every single time and the person on offense not being able to control the situation. And if you have my 10 options versus your 10 options, then it's the same thing. The defender is still in the same situation every time, but it doesn't matter because he has 10 options. So in that situation, it's not equal. It's usually the defender has the option because the person on offense doesn't know what he's going to do. And because you have the 10 options, it's the person on offense that has to make the decision which one of the 10 you're going to do, as opposed to the person on the ground having to guess what's the player standing going to do. And that's what the game is now. It's the person on the ground dictating to the person standing and not vice versa. So that does create a balance in some way, shape, or form.
Like I said, they have to be careful how they do it because right now the only reason some characters have worth in this game is because they're specialized in something like they get Oki when you knock them down. If you give that to almost everybody, then characters like Devore, why would I ever want to play her?
Maybe some
her
characters would
main
have
thing
a
is
knockdown.
no. But then who are you going to decide who gets to do that? So I guess Jackie wouldn't, right? Because she doesn't have an issue wake up. Citron wouldn't have that. A lot of characters, Fujin wouldn't get that. It would only be for characters that really need it. So who really needs it? Would you say Sub-Zero and who else?
Well, I didn't say Sub-Zero does. Or maybe certain specials would be hard knockdown, and you can choose that for certain matchups, or maybe you can make a hard knockdown special, 2 slots. There's a whole bunch of ways they can do it with the variation system, and this would also give the variation system more purpose as well.
What about I'm curious on both to your point and Rio's point, like would you guys be willing to spend a bar to get an advantage in certain situations? Like for example,
Sure.
what if you could spend a bar? What if you threw somebody out of a roll, you could spin a bar to turn it into a crushing blow? Or if you spin a bar on a knockdown, you could turn it into a hard
Let me give you an
knockdown or
example.
something like that.
No, even better, Crimson. This is what you should do. If you throw somebody out of a roll, you should spend a bar and you get a full combo because people want combos. So you're going to be bidding two birds with one stone.
Okay, I agree with CrimsonShadow's point, and there's a medium to this. Spend a bar and also still change some things with the variation system. So we all say, hey, look, there are these characters. Why would you ever equip this move, right? Take Sub-Zero slide. Since we're using Sub-Zero, he's a 50-50 character, and we're like, oh, the knockdowns in the mix. Why would you ever choose the shoulder over the slide, right? There's no reason to do it, right? We know this. What if Sub-Zero, the only way he could get a hard knockdown is cold shoulder amplify? And that was the only hard knockdown he had. It would give him, not only does it cost a bar, so if he wants to overhead you into a full combo and end with a hard knockdown, he's able to control the situation some, because now at least I know you can't forward roll, back roll. All you have is up 3, up 2. But I had to spend the bar for the overhead into the ice ball, and then a bar for the ender. So no, even though you're getting up, okay, at least if he wants to overhead me, the way the slotting system works, you won't be able to have creeping ice because you got a 2-slot and a 1-slot move. So you don't have the safe overhead. You had to spend 2 bars to do it. So you don't have that anymore. You don't have the overhead combo option. You have the low, maybe a quick overhead check if you want to take some risk or a throw. Or if you want to save the bar, you would just do overhead into the cold shoulder ender. And keep in mind, the cold shoulder ender is also breakable. So I mean, it does give some options to characters with counterplay, with mind games, and you can apply that to other characters. And now maybe there's a move you would never want to, and it also would balance the character. Now, hey, you want a hard knockdown? You're tired of dealing with the wake up system? You have an option. And if you choose not to pick that option, that's your own fault. What do you want to do? Do you want to do this? Or do you want the option on the wake up? And this is a good way to really kind of, because I agree, there needs to be some type of counterplay and mind game. It can't just be, well, GG's, I guess I'll just stand here on the ground and that's it. And then every character would hunt it the same way. So I think they can be creative in how they do it. Maybe they could do something with even a move like Joe Push that does something like that. And now all of a sudden it has a purpose. They could do things with moves where moves that are considered, why would I pick this, now have a purpose. And some of these moves also require meter. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a way they can do it if they want to really look at it.
Well, I understand we have a lot of ideas, and I think a lot of them are valid, and we hope that NRS considers some of them or implements them in any way that they see fit. But I would like to move on. I hope, Ria,
Sure.
you're okay with that. Ria, what's your next? I know you made we're going to try to get as many of these as possible in, and maybe save some for the next podcast as well, for the next
It was
episode.
the longest one because it was.
Well, Dragon didn't have wake ups listed in his video as the main problems. The number one problem was breakaway.
Well,
It
let's
wasn't
talk.
wake
Fair enough. Let's talk about breakaways. I think that's a mechanic that a lot of people have issues with because, and to summarize Dragon's argument, that he has an issue with people breaking out of combos at a specific moment and comboing you in return. I mean, you guys already know how I feel. I think that's completely ridiculous. I think the whole breakaway mechanic is a joke. But
Sure.
let's again focus on the solutions. And let me start with Rio.
Well, I feel like I can't comment on this topic, so I'll let you guys talk, because when I play the game, I guess it's because the characters I play, they just don't get comboed from breakaways, so I've never experienced it to really talk about it.
I think, hold on. I think your opinion still counts. You want to consider everything.
Yes, but if I'm playing characters like Noob that don't have to deal with that, how am I going to talk about
think
an
you want
issue I
the-
never faced?
Well, hold on a minute. Do you think the mechanic is fine, for example? Do you think it's fine as a way?
I never run into people that combo me when I play Noob,
I'm
so,
asking
and Baraka.
A very simple question. Do you think the mechanic is fine, yes or no?
Alright, well, let's think about this. So, breakaway, right? Let's say they make it so every character can counter it easily, right? Don't you think that would buff some characters that don't need that? Like, for example, isn't Sub-Zero one of the characters that has an issue versus breakaway? Like, it's very powerful against him?
They all have the issue.
Okay, so then if all of them have the issue, then Fujin, Setchiron, Jackie, should they be getting better at comboing you and you not having a chance to escape when you have meter?
The issue. All right. Well, go ahead and state your thoughts on it, and then I'll go ahead and state mine because I don't want to. I want you to be able to give your full opinion.
Yeah, no, you guys can go ahead. Like I said, I don't...
Okay. Well,
Dave has played me many times. Dave, how many times have you caught me with your breakaway? 0, because it doesn't happen. But you guys can go
Okay,
ahead.
well,
Like I said, I don't
I
have this
play
issue.
you once every 3 months, but that's
Yeah,
but
and
hold on
the
a
time we
second.
played for hours, you never done it to me.
I would like, of course, I would like Franco. I'm going to start with you if you don't mind
Yeah, start
after
with
Rio. Go ahead, Franco, please.
All right. Yeah, I think. Yeah, sorry, I just had to do something real quick, but breakaway. It's like I get where like Rio's coming from a little bit. Like if you made some characters like not have to deal with it as much, like it would be hard to like balance, I guess. But I think that's where you have to like directly address some characters to like make it balanced. Like I don't like breakaway that much at all, but it is like really it's cool that you can read them sometimes, but also getting comboed from them is really annoying. Like, I don't really have too many solutions for breakaway specifically, but I think like one of the best solutions you could do is like make it to where they're just on the ground longer. Like I can't think of anything else really.
But
Honestly,
don't you think that armor breaks for certain characters, maybe Gears is one of them, they kind of actually work? I see Tweety use it semi effectively. Or if he thinks they're gonna break away. Obviously, in certain situations, he gives a lot of damage. But I guess that's the mind game that NRS wants you to play. It's like, yeah, you do less damage in certain scenarios, but if you do your armor break, then you're gonna do more. And in a sense, like it's not in. It's a complicated issue, right? Because it depends on the character. If you're using collector, it's very different than if you're using some other characters.
yeah, it is very dependent on the character. That's why I think it's a really hard like solution to come up with. Like that's why I just said that adding like knockdown frames or something would be like my only solution that I could think of.
Yeah, Crimson, what do you think?
I mean, that was my initial suggestion, just to be that add recovery so that people couldn't get up and combo you so fast. But the question that I have is, if they did that so that breakaway became something strictly defensive and not offensive, would people feel that was balanced with the fact that armor breakers are in the game? And like we've seen so many times, right? You can die for breaking. Like literally, if someone reads you're gonna break and you break and you get comboed in the fatal blow, a lot of times that's like seriously GG's. Or at least by the time the damage is done, you're in a massive hole. And so my question to everyone would be, if they did increase the recovery so that you were never at risk of getting combo when someone breaks, do you guys feel that having something where at best it gets you out of the combo, you can never get a combo out of it, but you might die if you use it, is that fair and balanced?
It's hard because this is such a character specific question.
Right.
I like Crim's question, and I think it's a good thing. One thing I wanted to consider this time around when going over a lot of my ideas was a lot of times we give ideas, but sometimes we don't put them all on the same thing. Like, what if NRS actually were to say, you know what? I heard this podcast. I like the wake up system idea. I'm going to do it. And then if you put in the breakaway forces forces a hard knockdown, so to speak, where extra delay, then you're like, you could do a hard knockdown into some situation. They get caught. They break away. Now they're stuck there again. Throw loop, throw loop, throw. It causes a bad situation. There's a couple of things I have with the breakaway system. One, I think armor breakers are really poorly implemented in general. Armor breakers to me remind me of like kind of like a V-shift mechanic. It's a defensive option to counter something because breakaway sometimes can act as a pseudo offensive option. But it was not only was it implemented poorly, I went back and I watched the video showing armor breakers, and some of these examples they showed actually aren't even possible. They consciously broke away late to show an armor breaker work that will never actually work on a real human. So even the example they showed of look at these armor breakers was very disingenuous outside of a few situations. I don't like how armor breakers are implemented. Uh, they just seem very not thought out in some situations. Just kind of like, okay, this does it, that does it, that does it. I don't like how they're implemented. That's one. So as far as armor break, I like the idea, but it's implemented very poorly. Are they going to go back and take a look at that? I have no idea, but I don't like how it's done. Now, as far as the actual system, I like Rio's point where he's like, look, I don't have a problem with this. The problem is in the mind game itself. It's like you whiff punish somebody, for example, you outplayed them. Now, when you launch somebody, I could understand the mind game if it was, okay, well, do I want to go for my full combo and they break away and I get almost nothing? Or do I want to do something and try to cash out on that damage and say I do like a down two or whatever, and if they break, okay, cool, I got some damage at least. I got more than I would have got if I went for my full combo path and I escaped right away and I would have got nothing. Or even if they don't break, okay, I got something out of it. That would be fair. But that's not why we do the down twos, whatever. We cut our combo short, not because, hey, we want to make sure we get something before they break. We do it because we don't want them to combo us. The mind game is completely wrong. It's not a. It should be like, hey, I want to go for this fat juicy combo, but man, I do launch into that. They break away. I took 10%. Well, I might do this more damaging single attack, that breakaway or not. Cool. At least I got something out of it. The problem is, if in fact I go for the extended combo path, not only do I not get any damage, they get up and kill me for it. So that's really the problem, is in the mind game. Really, the idea of simultaneously fixing the wake up system and having somebody just drop dead right in front of you and taking away their option to get up with combo attempts, that's a terrible idea when you put them together. If they were to actually take ideas to fix the wake up system, they've got to do something in the breakaway that just lets the opponent get away from you, get out of the damage and get away, so he's not stuck right in front of you. Because it has to be fair, like Krim said. You can't have, sure, he shouldn't be forced to take all that damage, but he also shouldn't be forced to take some damage and be a sitting duck right in front of your face. But there has to be a balance in there. And I'm not really sure what the answer is, but I definitely know having them drop right in front of your face, helpless, is not a good option. And allowing them to get up and kill you is not a good option. So
Okay, what it seems like is what people are saying is, I think what they should do for the solution is just make it so some characters like, Baraka Noob, they can do their combo, go for their BMB. Your only choice is to break, and they don't care if you break because you're not going to combo them. They're going for the combo while not caring if you break because they're safe on it. So what they could do is, why don't they just make it so they have the same thing that Noob and Baraka have? Just make it so every character can go for their combos. It doesn't matter if you break or not. If you break, okay, you got out of the combo, but you can never combo them. So make it so characters, I guess, they move quicker when they're doing a string and you break away. They instantly recover or something. So that way it's kind of like... Because right now it's so character specific. Like if you're playing noob, you don't care about breakaway because you're never going to get comboed. You could always do your B&B if they break away. Okay, you recover quick enough over strings anyway. It doesn't matter. But then if you're playing a character like... who has like a huge issue with breakaway?
let's say Cetron, you go for a B&B and you don't want to go for...
Yeah, Cetron. Let's say you launch somebody, you go for your 2-1, whatever those strings are,
Yeah.
and then they break away, you're dead. So what they could do is make Cetron recover quicker off her string, like Brock and Noob do, so if people break away, they can't combo you anyway. So that way people get to do what they want, they get to go for flashy combos, and if people break away, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
like, I guess that's the best way to do it. Just have every character, when someone breaks away, they just recover instantly, and then you get to move, and it's like Noob and Brocka, you don't have to worry about breakaway.
And to Dragon's point, he said, and I don't know why I even brought up Cetron, but he said people are going to say, oh, Dragon, oh, armor break. But there are some characters that deal with this that don't have an armor break option or don't whatever. And like I said, I don't think universal options are the same thing. I don't like saying, oh, everybody's X move is an armor break. I think everybody wants the option of choice, the freedom of the variation system. So there has to be some choice, and maybe some matchups you don't want the armor break, but you also shouldn't have to deal with being comboed for whatever without it. So again, I just think maybe Rio's idea is the best idea. Just out of breakaway adds recovery frames to the attack that got broke out of. I mean, I'm not really sure how that would work.
Well, the main issue is some characters are just designed to have better strings against airborne opponents. Like if you're doing Noob's 1-1-3 or Baraka's 4-4 into whatever, like you can physically see if they're gonna break away or not, and then either finish it or do it. And if they break away, they can't combo you. So I think they need to look at a lot of the strings in the game and kind of apply that same mindset. I think breakaway wasn't made in mind to account for every character. I think they just put it in and we're like, okay, well this is gonna be a mechanic. Some characters are gonna be good against it. Some characters are gonna struggle, and then that's. But ultimately, people don't like how characters struggle in because it's so not fun to play against that it's kind of killing the game for them. So if you're playing like a character that you launch your opponent and you just have to do down 2 because you literally cannot do any string without getting comboed, then they should probably address those characters.
So you care if I comment something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead,
Like
please.
on this topic?
Yeah.
This is more so an issue from Wake Up because you have the option to not do this. But like for example, Garrus, like his 4-2-1 has like years of recovery frames. Like it's like you never want to use 4-2-1 in combos because of that. And also on Oki, which is like his best mid starter, and he has a tick throw off of it. So like you never want to use 4-2 ever because of the fact that if they roll, your 4-2-1 comes out and they full combo you. If they delay or something and you try to do 4-2 tick throw, then your 4-2-2 comes out and you get punished. And whether it's off roll or delay. So like I think taking away recovery frames on a lot of characters, strings or normals would be better. Because like I said, this is a hard solution to just come
Well,
up
it would
with for
also
breakaway specifically.
it would also affect the footsies game because if you remove the recovery frames, that means if you whiff a certain string, it will have a lot less recovery frames on a whiff, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's another reason why it's complicated. So
Well, I don't understand.
But yeah, but pretty much what Franco's saying, it's like some characters are naturally better with wake ups and breakaway because they recover quicker. Like for example, Noob's throwing out his strings, Brock is doing 4-4-4. You really think you're gonna wake up, roll, and punish those moves? You're not, because they're just these quick moves you can throw out that go to things and they recover
yeah,
quickly.
you got Jackie's
So I think
like
maybe
forward
some
one,
characters,
forward 1-2.
yeah, exactly. So I think some characters just need new strings given to them that are just these fast, quick strings that you can just throw out. If they hit, you confirm, and if it combos, you could do them, and you just move quick. You know, that could be another answer.
Maybe I'm old fashioned, but I like the breakers in the old games. And I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, because Honeybee has been uploading tons of Injustice 2 content lately, and I've been relearning the game, and I've been enjoying the game for just watching it. What's wrong with the what do they call that mechanic where you flip out in the air?
Air tech.
Flip out.
Yeah, air tech.
I didn't really like that mechanic either, but it's not as bad as breakaway.
It's
You can still get
nowhere
comboed.
near-
Yeah,
you
it's nowhere near as bad.
it's nowhere near as bad. What's just wrong with that? I mean, I know a lot of times it was used to get rid of if people
Same
go to
problem, because if you air tech at the right time, you'll still get a full combo.
I understand, but I think sensible people will agree that it was. I don't know too many people who complain about that mechanic in that game. I know a lot of people complain about many other stuff about the game, like the zoning, like the defense, like the walking
It's
back.
a different game. If you put that air tech in the game,
I
and
understand,
it
but
makes
I'm
it
not saying it should have that time. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying that that's I think something people would be more agreeable to.
I mean, you literally could add that in this game. What if they make it so you break away, you hit the ground, then your character gets up and they spin dizzy, so you get a combo?
Bro,
They could literally
are you
do that.
serious? Somebody would do an anti-air jab into a special, and they would air tech, and they would avoid the.
Yeah, that would
and
happen every
land.
time. I would see
No,
that a lot.
no.
Also, characters like Cyborg, when they would launch you, characters would match breakaway, and the character couldn't recover in time to counter it. So you had that issue too. Where breakaway was just, flip out was just an answer to some characters, and you had to hold that. Like they didn't have a way to compensate.
I understand that, but I think
Plus, you would still never flip away from Jackie. You would never flip out of armor break. You would never. No, it's not a good idea.
You never flip away against
I'm
Batman
not-
either, because he would literally blow you up.
Yeah, Batman would kill you
Yeah,
for
it's
even
not
attempting to
good.
do that option.
I'm just judging by the amount of complaints. There were very few complaints about
But it's
that.
a different game. You don't have. the
Yeah,
same-
Dave, you have to consider what Tom's saying. It's a different game.
Right.
Injustice 2 has a whole set of different problems that MK11 doesn't have. Like, it's a different game.
I understand that, but I'm not suggesting that they add air mechanic. I'm just saying what's wrong with more of a mechanic that does
As the game
that.
is more close up than Injustice 2 is, then it's going to happen a lot more, and the reward's going to be much greater in this game, the way the moves are, as
No,
opposed to Injustice.
Fair enough. I think you bring a great argument. Well, I think that wraps up the breakaway. If you guys don't mind, let's just move ahead.
Sure, move on.
We probably have time for two more. Rio, what's the next one?
Well, the next issue after Breakaway on Dragon's List was flawless blocking.
Well, in my opinion, I think flawless block is fine, like defensively, but I think a lot of people don't like it when somebody does a string that's -3 or -4, you low poke, and then they are with their up 2s, up 3s. It's pretty much used like an armor was to a higher execution degree in it was an MKX. Like an MKX, you just do your armor. You do your string that's -5 armor. Nothing you can do. Block it. In this game, I feel like flawless block functions the same way, but obviously it's a lot harder to execute. I'm not sure if that's what they have intended, and I understand a lot of people don't like that. It's not like one of my top 3 concerns, but it is obviously something people don't like.
Sure.
Let's go with Crimson. What do you think?
I mean, when we say people don't like, I guess we have to be specific who we're talking about, because there's some people who have really put in a ton of work and it's a huge part of their game plan and they're really good at it and they use it a lot. So, do people like Ninja Killer and Gerd not like flawless block, or is it mainly the people who are getting flawless block by Ninja Killer and Gerd and getting blown up that are complaining?
I don't.
Dragon doesn't like it.
I don't think we
But
should
like
go-
a person like Biohazard is amazing with it.
Yeah,
to see what
Bio,
what he can
Gerd,
do.
Ninja are three of the best in the game. So
Okay.
you know, like, do these people? Does everyone hate the mechanic, or is it just like some people would rather use it and other people are just
Fair
salty
point.
when they get hit by it?
Well, to be fair, Cetron has weak floss block attacks, so it's kind of unfair that she has that weakness.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Maybe.
Wait, why is it unfair that she has that weakness? I don't know.
Because she can't, like, floss blocking, if you have a character that can floss block and use it to do things, you can do, it's like a whole nother game almost. Like, the can of worms that it opens, that the options it gives you, all of those don't work for Cetron. She just can't do them.
I know, but she can't do that for a reason because she has.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just going from Dragon's point. You know, you have to remember, put yourself in his shoes. Like, you have this mechanic in the game that's devastating when you play against someone that knows how to do it on the right characters. But then he can't even use it, so should it get looked at?
Yeah, I think it should, not to interrupt like any responses. And I don't like it either, by the way. And Garrus has a decently good up 2 for stealing turns on hit.
I have
Well,
a
like-
different take on it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
Time, you go ahead, please.
I have a different take. I agree with Crimson's point. Crimson makes a great point. I mean, if we're going to talk about who's complaining about it, I mean, that's kind of subjective, don't you think? Because obviously there are people who've mastered it and who are very good at it, and it's a key point in their game. I don't like looking at things from the point of just because someone complains about something means it's good or bad. Looking at the mechanic itself and saying, complaining or not, is it good or bad? And I think it's good in some cases. In some cases, it's actually better than armor. And here's what I mean. The problem it causes is, so let's say one of the big things in MK11 Ultimate is the jail. Hey, they address the problem, right? You get knocked down or you get down one. The answer to, the down one game is, guess what? Now you get down one, you get jailed. We've heard many times people bring this up on this podcast, like, hey, it's a big buff. But the problem is, even if your down one was plus 1 million, so let's just imagine you go to practice mode, your down one says, wow, on hit, I'm plus 1 million. They can't move for 1 million frames. Even if they had armor, they wouldn't be able to do anything. Plus 16, plus 1 million, it wouldn't matter. No armor is coming out against an 8-frame jab when you're plus 13. Only you can flawless block up 2. And somebody will say, oh, just do a quick 1-2. But those quick 1-2s, they can still at least flawless block up 3 in between, maybe not up 2. And some up 2s, based if they're fast enough, will still go through it. But a lot of characters don't have something like that, so they can still be punished for being jailed. So you're jailing somebody and you say, hey, I've jailed you, you can't move, and you can actually still flawless block and launch them. And it's also the same problem on Wake Up. It goes into the Wake Up system. Even if you have those situations where they can't do X, Y, or Z, it makes it hard to meaty because if you time your meaty, it's like, wow. Even if you time a string where with the first hit, and if they get up, the first hit is blocked, second hit would make contact, or if they delay, the second hit still makes contact where they can move. They always have the option to flawless block it. So the point of a meaty is they can't do X, Y, or Z. You're safe. Yeah, I timed a meaty properly. I'm safe. Flawless block says you're not safe. Flawless blocking removes it causes the biggest problem of, at some point, there needs to be a safe option. And there are even OSs to where it's not even an OS. On some wake up situations, you can literally, if someone is attacking, you can see the attack since you're rising, flawless block up to it. If they back away, you don't see the attack come out. You don't even go to flawless block. You're just there blocking. So there's no even way to bait it in certain wake up situations. But ultimately what it comes down to is risk versus reward. I understand in flawless block situations, the person flawless block. You can say the person flawless blocking, like Krim has brought up many times, there is risk. You can do nothing. You can bait it. They just go up into the air. Nothing comes out. So it's high risk, high reward for these flawless block up 2s. The problem is for the person, and sometimes at the advantage, like, oh, I'm plus 3, plus whatever, or it's my turn. Even at down 1, there are situations where they're doing low risk, but low reward, but the risk is high. So while you have the person who is at disadvantage playing high risk, high reward, because if they do nothing, I'm going to go flying into the air here. The person attacking is playing sometimes low risk, high reward, because the reward for the person who's minus is always launch or get launched. Sometimes the person who's attacking back is like, sometimes it's I poke you or I get launched. And even after I poke you, I can still get launched. And even in the wake up system, it's wrong. Like,
Tom, you understand that. You need to get to the point. What's the solution?
The solution is you just can't be able to do it from. I'm only going over this because I'm just trying to cover all the options in the comments. Like somebody was like, "Oh, just do this."
No, we know all the options. What's the solution?
The solution is you just can't do it from negative. Period. Can't do it from negative.
I agree.
It's
I like what Tiger said in the last episode.
Can I
you have to
quickly
pretty
comment
much be
on
Rio?
flawless blocks possible.
Yeah, Rio, go ahead.
Alright, so the reason why flawless block is such an issue now for pokes is because before in the game, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but pokes were complaining about a lot, like how safe they were. You could just throw them out. There was like, it was very difficult to punish pokes. They were super safe. They recovered quickly, this and that. So when they released Ultimate, one of the overhauls they did for the game is they made every poke in the game recover slower. They added extra frames, and because they did that, to listen to people saying, "Hey man, you guys need to do something about pokes. They're so annoying. People are constantly poking this, poke that." They did that, and in doing that, NRS didn't realize that, okay, wow, we made all pokes more minus now, but because of that, now literally almost every character in the game can flawless block launch down ones on block, which before only a few characters do that. It was like a specialty, but now it's like, no, but I'm just explaining why that's the case now, because why this wasn't like that before.
It's not. The problem is, to quote Dragon.
No, Tom, I get what you're saying, but I'm just explaining why it's like this now. It wasn't like this before. For the whole game's life, like only Gears or whatever could do it, but it wasn't like a general thing. It became because of the Ultimate Patch where they overhauled the poke system. They made the all minus, so now nearly every character could do it, except for maybe Citra.
Well, wait a minute.
Even without this, it wouldn't matter because some characters still gonna up.
That's not true. Because if you only got up threes free, will people really be complaining?
No, it's the fact that they get launched before. But Dave, this is the whole poison. Why this is the whole point why before people were like pokes are too dumb. There's like no counterplay. They're too safe. You can machine them. Now that there's a counterplay to stop someone from doing down one. Now it's kind of like not really in the whole direction that people wanted. So now they need to think of another solution to do this.
It's the same problem.
Because the whole reason it's like this was to stop the poke mashing fest.
It's the same problem. Because even if you say, "Hey, bro, you're plus 100," but if you don't want to get launched, at least down one. And I down one, they flawless block up 3 me, and you say, "Well, at least it wasn't."
But it's not a launcher. That's a huge difference.
It doesn't matter. There's no situation where you should be able to be plus 1 million and you don't have a single safe option. No, you need to have. You need to have options.
I get what you're saying. Instead of them bringing pokes to how they were, how about they just make up twos a high so you can't do it if you're crouching?
No, the problem is safe option, not variate. No, it's more safe, less safe. You're still going to get punished. No.
But if someone does a down one and up twos were highs, it would whiff and you would get a full combo from even attempting that.
You should not have the option to get any damage. 0 if you are at negative. Don't tell me someone's minus 16 and they flawless blocked it down 1 and up 3 to me. No.
Well, the way it works is this. If you're minus 16 off a Scorpion Teleport, you can't do it. You're getting comboed. If you're minus 16 off, you're in hit stun, then you can do it. There's a big difference here.
By the way, if I may speak as somebody who used to use Katana and Highborn, so obviously she's tremendous advantage. Realistically speaking, the chances of you getting flawless block when you're like plus 23, if you mix up your mix-ups properly, meaning you use your jabs, you use back 1, you mix up with the back 3, the low, are very, very low. Even against the best players. I know because I fought them. If you mix it up properly, that's not the issue that people are complaining about. In fact, that's not the issue that people complain about at all. What people are complaining about is if you do your string with Jackie or whatever. Well, not with Jackie, I'm sorry, like with the character like Geras, whatever. Let's say you do, I don't know, 4-2-1 into the punch, and then you do a down poke, and what do they, granted you don't have a 6-frame.
Well, actually, Dave, that's a bad example. You can't do it all.
-7.
Punch. He's minus 7, so he has to hold pressure.
6-frame jabber can also down 1.
You have to be safer than that.
No, I know, but I'm not considering 6-frame jabs. I'm considering like 7, or like to say
0 back 3-2-1 -5, the full strength, for example.
Yeah, no, even that's not even even with Geras, because not everybody has a 6-frame jab. That's the scenarios that people are complaining about. Nobody's complaining about because there are very few massive advantages in this game anyway. I think that's like the
down one's a pretty big universal massive advantage. You're supposed to be jailed, but you're not jailed.
I understand that, but I think it's not so much of an issue of a hit as it is an issue of on block.
I think it's an issue. I think it's worse on hit. I think it's way more.
It's worse.
I can't stand it. It literally makes me want to have a nosebleed every time it happens.
Biohazard is the master of this, or whatever. They knock you down. They attack. You up 3 them, and you're like, oh, I'm plus 16. They're jailed, and you go to jail them, flawless block, punish, and it's like now I'm airborne, and I don't have any defensive bar because I spent my defensive bar to up 3U. The problem is it doesn't matter if it's the example Dave's using, where you go to poke to get your turn back and you get punished, or quote unquote your turn stolen, or in a jail situation or advantage situation or whatever. The problem is that there's not any situation in this game where there is a safe option outside of, hey, I know I'm mega plus or I know he's minus, but let me back away and do nothing.
I like
Because
I like Lario's suggestion. I think they should make all up twos high, so that way if you do a low poke, you're pretty much safe. Not only are you safe, you can whiff punish them.
You bait them and you
If
full combo.
people want to spend a defensive and an offensive bar for up threes to get the turn back, I think that's fine.
and when is it your turn?
I couldn't care less about.
Well, Tom, it makes it your turn though. Look,
It makes it
for
your
what
turn.
you just said, someone hits you with up 3, right? You're in hit stun. Couldn't you just do it back to them? You're technically your turn,
Oh
right?
my god.
That's what we're arguing here
This
for.
will never I will never agree to this. So
Look, here's my issue, and look, we have a few minutes left. Here's my
to the
issue.
next one.
Why I respect Dragon as a player, and I definitely consider his opinions. What he listed, in my opinion, is not the problems of the game. These are issues, but flawless blocking takes skill. It takes effort. Why should that get toned down? The real issues with the game, which I'm surprised are not on his list, the two main issues that I see complain about the most by far is character balance and variations, and those two are not on this list.
Leo, we have some time for one final topic. We can extend it by a couple of minutes.
Well, the next topic is jump kick. Should they be nerfed? They're too
Here's
strong.
the thing. Let's save that for the next podcast. Let's talk about the character balance because I agree with you. That's a massive issue that people.
Well, the character balance right now is by far number one issue. I mean, the fact that you have 9-1 matchups in this game and you can't even attempt to play some characters and there's too many broken characters, that is literally what's killing the game. It's the balance. All of this other fluff like flawless blocking, breakaway. Look, if they were to make a patch next month and fix flawless blocking breakaway, do you think that's going to do much? No. People are still going to be getting destroyed by Cetron. They're still going to be getting beat 9-1 in matchups. They're still not going to be able to play these characters. That's the main issue. You have to address the balance.
How many 9-1 matchups are in the game?
Shiva versus Collector. The fact that there's an unwinnable matchup that you can't play is horrible. That's really bad. That needs to get addressed.
Well, I agree with.
And there's probably much more than that.
I think that we need to be careful here about following the moderate perspective because there are people who have said publicly and privately that this game is as unbalanced as MK9. I think those people are lunatics.
Sorry.
No, they are lunatics. And there are people who have also said that this game is the best thing since sliced bread. It has the best balance ever. Those people are also lunatics. The truth is somewhere in the middle, and that's kind of where I stand. I think there are some bad matchups, mostly due to the variation system. I think this stuff is connected, as Tom has pointed out in his videos. But my personal opinion is that I think they should buff everybody to the Cetron level because I think the power level in this game is acceptable in comparison to some of the other NR games that we used to play. Let's start with Franco. What do you think about the balance in this game?
What was I about to say? For like matchups and balance and stuff, yeah, like there's probably matchups I don't even know of, but like as far as Garrus, I think his worst matchup's probably Cetrion, and I feel like it's unwinnable, honestly. Like if you have a dragon level Cetrion, it's like you literally can't use forward 2 at all because she can down forward, down 3 under it. And keep in mind, Garrus, in my opinion, is a top 15 character. And, he's not like Shao tier or anything. So, like, being that he has an unwinnable matchup and he's top 15, like, that's kind of crazy.
But Tweety, I have to challenge you on this. Tweety, on his own matchup chart, which I know some of the stuff you agree with, some of the stuff you disagree with, I believe has it as a 5-5, if not losing 6-4.
When has Tweety ever played Dragon in tournament, though?
I think he's played a decent amount, though, enough to know. And I think even
recently. Like, what about recently after Ultimate's release?
Well, Dragon stated that Gur went over his gun over to house before to play, and I don't think Gur thinks it's unwinnable. So I'm just saying.
I actually have proof that he thinks it's unwinnable.
Okay.
If you check out one of his archives, I don't know if it's still up. He has his ESL run that he got top 8 winners in. believe, when he beat Unjust to make top 8.
Okay.
I was discussing with him in the chat. I was like, dude, Cetrion and Garrus, I feel like it's unwinnable, honestly. And he's like, yeah, honestly, like dragon level Cetrion, I do see it being unwinnable. And like, we were talking about stuff.
Is that a player thing or is that a character thing? Because no offense, he's better than.
I think it's probably a character thing. Like
Okay.
Cetrion, she can low profile under a lot of his.
King Jr. Unwinnable in this game. That's a strong adjective to use to describe a matchup in this game because unwinnable. I'm thinking of like I don't know Kenshi against Baraka or Kenshi against Shiva for God's sake.
Well, the thing is,
wait, Dave, you're making really bad examples. Kenshi versus Shiva and MK11 was a 6-4. Very bad example. You should say like Kenshi versus Jade. That was 9-1.
In this game, like your options are so limited because you're literally down to the basics of strike and throw. So like, obviously, Garrus is one of his best tools is the forward 2-string because nothing else he does is safe or leads to anything or it's not confirmable.
Sure.
And the fact that she can low profile, assuming you don't have the command grab to beat her pokes, because Tweety likes using the choke. There's no really safe options to stop her from low profiling your forward 2-string. She can also low profile his up 2s if she were to do one of the pokes and he reads that she's going to do something other than her pokes and like try and up 2 her or something, but he can't steal turns and all that stuff against her.
And I'm gonna let Tom. I know you want to comment on this topic. What about the balance as an overall, as an overall feature of the game, not necessarily one certain matchup or that. Like as an overall comment on that, not necessarily. Okay, this matchup is. What do you think about the balance overall?
Yeah, my bad. I didn't answer like both sides of the question. I was talking about the matchup portion.
I understand.
Overall, I think it is nice, like because like most characters are viable. There are counter picks, but that's in every game. That's okay. But I feel like a lot of these bad matchups and all this other like problems and stuff stem from the variation system. But overall, the balance is pretty good in my opinion. Like most characters are viable, but like I said, the counter picks and stuff like that are pretty hard to deal with. And it seems like the top 5 or 6 just dominate pretty hard. Like I've ran into so many Kotal players as Garrus, and I'm just like, damn it, I lost another tournament run because of a Kotal. This was before I quit, obviously. And I even have Cetrions that aren't Dragon giving me trouble and stuff like that. And it's just like the top tier seems so dominant. So outside the top tiers, it's pretty balanced and like everybody's viable for the most part.
Dude, I'm sorry, but we have to stop beating around the bush. When like no one can convince me that the problem with this game is flawless blocking over something as critical as the balance.
There's a lot of
when you have
game.
No, but when you have literally unwinnable matchups in this game, 9-1s here and there, how are you not?
Let Crim go because
but how are you not going to mention balance as the issue
I'll
of the
mention
game?
it. I want Crim to get in here first before I go.
All right. Well, I think Rio's playing a little bit of devil's advocate here, and I think he's been playing devil's advocate for maybe 5 or 6 podcasts or so. I mean, there's some truth in the complaints. I don't know if the actual subject of the complaints is true, but obviously people are complaining about a ton about balance. However, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like, this is the best balanced game we've had. Anyone who says otherwise has no idea what they're talking about, or they're biased because they're playing a character that is on the wrong end of something. But let's be honest, every game has bad matchups. Every game has top tiers. Every game has bottom tiers. If your opinion is that the game can't be balanced unless there are no top tiers or no bottom tiers, I'm sorry, buddy, it's not going to happen. Now, that doesn't mean that the game is perfectly balanced. I think the reason that the game is as balanced as it is because they've been balancing toward the middle. And they've been balancing toward the middle in most cases without trying to take tools away completely. Right? Like, I always use the example, but if you look at Liu Kang, what they did is his 4-4-3, like, they said, all right, we're not going to make it so he can't use this, but we're going to make it so it's not quite as brain dead. Like, you have to think a little bit more. There's more of a mind game after you use it and as to what happens next. And I think they should just keep doing that. I think they should combine that with, like we're at a stage now where you can be less conservative as far as giving characters busted in them, right? Like, I don't think there's anyone who argues Shao Kahn is too good, we shouldn't buff him. We're almost 2 years into the game. you can go ahead and try to improve some of these characters that have been sitting at the bottom of the pack for the last 2 years or so, right? Scarlet, I don't think there's anyone saying, "Oh my God, like she's almost broke." You know, maybe if she could finish her strings without getting flawless blocked and blown up, right? That would be great. But I think overall we can continue to make changes like that and acknowledge the fact that some matchups will always be bad and acknowledge the fact that we're always going to have top tiers and bottom tiers. But I think it's fair to say that the top tiers and the bottom tiers are a lot closer in this game than they've been in any game before this. You know, any game that we've had, they're closer. And people are going to complain no matter what. You're a competitive player. If you run into a bad matchup, you run into a top tier, you don't play a top tier. You're going to bitch, and that's just what people do.
I think you bring up good points. Tom, what do you think?
I think this balance is absolutely garbage for the worst possible reason. This notion that, hey, this is the most balanced game ever, balance achieved this way is egregious and unexcusable and unforgivable. There's such things as, I don't want to go back to MK9, but since it's the most broken game we've ever had, if you go back to even like near bottom, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, etc., even Noob, those characters, for example, like the character I played, he's not trash, but he's where he is near the bottom, as even though he's powerful, because there are just better characters. No, obviously we don't want characters to be that much better, like Kenshi level, but that's acceptable. Like Krim said, when you have a tier list to where, hey, this character is not top and they're lower, but I mean, look, it's natural to know there's just going to be better characters. But you're not where you are because you're bad. You're where you are because there are better characters. MK11, 60% of the characters are where they are because they are absolutely fucking garbage. That's the problem. They can't do anything but down one, whatever, throw. That's it. They're as basic as they get. They can't do anything. The top tier characters are top because they abuse every single aspect of the game. They are able to use all 4 bars of meter for stuff like Jackie she can literally stay on you for 60 seconds because she can use a combination of offensive and defensive bars to crossover leap and shrapnels and that type of stuff. Cetrion uses it for teleports, also amplify, which is another issue I have with the game, amplify or not amplify kind of stuff. Fujin as well uses all 4 bars. A bunch of characters use stuff like that. They also abuse the variation system. Most of their best moves are by default. Most of their stuff is 1 slot, and if they're 1 slot or default, they can do 10 things without having to slot those 10 different things. They also circumvent the wake-up system in a lot of ways. They have their own F-neutral tools while still against each other. There's their own F-neutral, forces neutral, but against other characters, they do what they want when they want because those characters are bound or a slave to like chains put on them by the overall system. Fatal blows, they also abuse the fatal blow mechanic with a full screen fatal blow like Cetrion, or fatal blow that even Jesus isn't going to punish, even if you do it point blank like Jackie's. I mean, like, they literally dominate every single aspect of the game. And then there are other characters. They can only use 2 bars, and they only use their defensive bars for the generic wake-up system. They don't have much F-neutral. They don't have safety. They deal with the wake-up. They're a slave to the variation system. To do this properly, to take Shao Kahn, to Krim's point, the top tier don't need any touches. There's no Kenshi or Cabal or Cyrex in this game. Like, that power level doesn't exist. They have an acceptable power level. And for the most part, the top characters are top for the right reasons. They're not top because they force any of their tools are unavoidable or just, wow, how am I going to get around this? This is unwinnable. I can't move. I can't do anything. Those things are not in this game. So the top tiers are powerful, but in a tame way, which is why it does seem a lot more balanced. The problem is the characters under them, there's a subjective balance. The top are balanced against the top because they all play one game. The bottom and mid are balanced against the bottom and mid because they all play the very generic no spaghetti on the sauce game. But when you combine that, it's absolutely dreadful. And
Tom,
Go ahead.
dreadful.
Tom, I gotta call you out on this, man, because there are 37 characters in the game. If 60% of the characters are quote garbage because they can only down one and throw, that's 22 characters I want you to name the 22 characters that just down one and throw.
Crim,
There's only one character that does down one and throw.
a lot of the characters in general are just garbage. And the worst part is, if they're not garbage, to Crim's point, hey, look at Shiva, right? She's not in the top 5, and she's able to win. The next biggest thing is some of these characters, the way they win is so boring. Sure, you could pick Shiva and do stomps and put the stomps on them, but sometimes you'd rather eat rat poison than do down up and down up again and down up again. Some of these characters are top for ridiculous artificial balancing tools that whether you win or lose, you're like, I'm just not. I just don't even want to play.
Crimson, I think what Tom is saying is a lot of the characters, not necessarily they. I think maybe it's inaccurate to describe this down one throw, but like for example, as a player like myself, who's been using some broken, definitely some interesting, even zoning characters over my fighting game career. Why would I play RoboCop? He's literally the most boring zoning characters I've ever seen in my life. First of all, his zoning isn't even that good. He has a command throw for God knows what reason. Why would I use him? Like, it literally makes zero sense to me. Even though he's not down one throw, even though I guess you could describe him as such.
Yeah, it's true.
Why would I ever use that character? He is incredibly boring, which is why there's like 2 or 3, maybe like 5 people in total who use him.
No, but to Tom's point, if you made RoboCop top tier, nobody wants to go back and do low shot all day 24/7, just down back one, down back one. It's going to be boring.
They don't have to be top tier. That's the biggest mistake. Characters don't
Honestly, look, here's the issue, and I also disagree. I think a lot of people disagree that people are not accepting Cetron as an acceptable power level. I think a lot of people hate her, and she's the reason why a lot of people are quitting the game and do not like the game. The issue is this. This is what NRS does. This character's top tier. Here's random nerfs. Oh, this character's bottom tier. Here's random buffs. What they need to do is they need to address every character separately, like their own character. If Shiva's 9-1 Collector, why are you gonna nerf Shiva, which will affect Liu Kang in a way? Why not specifically address this? If Cetron's unwinnable for Geras, then why not do something either to Geras so that he could fight Cetron, or tone down something for Cetron that will mainly only affect Geras? They need to start thinking outside the box and doing very specific changes like that.
I think for starters, off of that specific, I know if you change one thing, it's like a whole effect on other. Yeah, it's a domino effect. But for starters, with Geras versus Cetron, fix 4-2-1-2. Like, come on, why is it still?
That's what I mean, Franco. Do things like that.
Like, it's a Geras specific thing, so like it's easier to fix that issue than as opposed to nerfing Cetron directly for Geras.
What do you mean by fixing it? What do you mean?
So it can't be low profile. Like, what's the
that's complete BS.
Yeah, I think they should have fixed that a long time ago. That's a fair criticism.
Great.
But also, there's no denying that the characters need. And the problem is in that to take Shao Kahn and get him anywhere, it doesn't have to be Cetrion level, but to even get him halfway there and not do a lazy mechanic like, here's overhead and a low. There you go. They both combo. Without doing something like a very lazy mechanic wise, it would take an almost complete overhaul to his frame data, move properties. I know Rio once said make forward 4-3, safe, no gap. That
was Franco's idea.
She would crush him just the same.
No, hold on a minute.
No, wait, you do know that. Wait, Shao Kahn doesn't get his ass beat by Cetron, though. You do realize
No, I don't know about that. I know I told you it might have been 6-4, but that was only off of one set that I played with Dragon.
On my show, Tigers told me she dominates him up close and beats him from far and beats him worse.
Sure, but is the match unwinnable like Geras gets his ass beat by Cetron?
He said it is almost unwinnable.
Well, be the match.
So then, how are people accepting Cetron as fair? Then isn't she not the problem?
The problem is not that Cetron's not fair. The problem is that so many characters are garbage, and even the characters that aren't garbage are boring.
Well, then they need to fix characters like Geras and make them good.
I wanted to make a comment. I didn't want to interrupt anybody. I felt like...
No, let me just say this across, Franco, and I'll let you speak. I promise. I think Tom said something that I disagree with. He said that you need to overhaul the character. No, you don't. Like Franco gave buffs, which I vehemently disagree because he would turn him into another Jackie character. Like make forward.
Oh, now I got to comment on what you said, but you finished. Now I got to comment on what you said.
Make forward 3-4 safe. Make it no gap.
I said not make it special cancelable and have pushback so you can't steal turns.
Yeah, after I blow you up, after I blew your ass up for that, then yes, you changed your mind. Thank you very much for proving my point. Yeah, after I
Well,
criticized
yeah, you said you wanted uniquity, so that's or if that's
I
even a
know.
word.
Otherwise, you would have your way, and then you would turn the character another character everybody would hate playing against. So, in other words, until all of us in our private chat blew you up, you were clinging to your opinion. Like
No, that I mean that wasn't just because of that, but
well, I know why you changed your mind because you were wrong. But the point is this: I don't think the game is as unbalanced as people say it is. I really don't. I think it's very balanced. I agree with Chris. It's the most balanced game that NRS has ever created. I do, but at the same time, I do agree with Tom. A lot of the characters, this is the issue, are just boring to play with. Like, why would I use RoboCop? He's extremely boring. His zoning isn't that good. Why does he have a mid command grab? I don't know. Why would I use that character? That's why I have to use characters like Kotal Khan to, to have some success, just casually speaking.
But the question
It's kind of weird how you don't like RoboCop's mid-command throw, but then you go to Kotal who's a mid-command throw.
Yeah, well, I mean, hold on a minute. Kotal Khan has a lot of other fucking shit. Come on, dude.
Okay, well,
No, I know that, but
it's
like you say RoboCop's mid-command throw like it's so off-putting, like, ugh, I don't want that, but then you go to another character that has that.
Kotal Khan wasn't ever as a premier zoner. I would argue Kotal Khan in many matchups.
Did they say RoboCop was a premier zoner? I thought they only said that for Noob Saibot.
No, they definitely said it for RoboCop too.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, but look, here's my question. My question is, since we're talking balance, and since balance is balance at the end of the day is going to end up being a question of numbers. When people say a lot of the characters are garbage or boring, out of 37, how many are we talking about?
See, Crimson, it's hard to get answers because right now we need to do this. Out of the top tier characters, Fujin, Cetron, Jackie, Liu Kang, Joker, right? Who out of those do we agree is fun to play against? Let's first start there. Then we go on who NRS should make top tier and design them around.
It goes beyond that.
So first we have to figure out, is Cetron the fun to fight against? Is Liu Kang fun to fight against?
You think people think Shiva's fun to fight against? You think people
But
think
Tom, that's my
Zero's fun to
point.
fight
So we
against?
need to
People
come
hate-
together.
The worst
Tom, it's hard for us to ask NRS make this character fun when we can't tell them what
I'm
fun
on
is. So
Twitter right now,
again,
tonight.
what top tier is fun to play against? So that way NRS could take notes and be like, you know what? Okay, people are saying Liu Kang's fun to play against. Let's make top tiers that are kind of like in his direction a bit. So
I
that
have
you know.
some tweets saved. Biohazard, flawless block god, right? He says here, before Ultimate, I hope Sub-Zero dies in the next patch. He's not fun to use, and nobody wants to fight him. This is before Ultimate. Nothing gets done. Tons of tweets today. Somebody just, I was up on life against a Sub-Zero. I had 50%. He had Fatal Blow. My mistake for even being in the match, or even giving him Fatal Blow. Right? GG's, I lose. And these are what people are saying. So it doesn't matter if it's Shiva.
Tom,
and they're like,
I understand what you're saying. I understand that we know that some characters are not fun to
Yes,
play
but
against. What
it
I'm
doesn't
asking
have
is,
to be
who
the
are the
top
characters
five.
that are fun to play against?
Doesn't that? My point is, it doesn't have to be the top 5.
That's my point. Like, who are the characters that are fun to play against? That way, NRS could be like, you know what? They say this character's fun. Let's make more characters like around this design.
That's the problem.
Tom, hold
Because
on.
you're either really strong or you have no sauce on the spaghetti. There's
So this game has not one character that's fun to play
there's
against.
no in between.
Tom, you're falling for trick questions. This is the way you answer that stupid question. It's like this. I don't care who's not fun to play against. I want to have my own fun. How about that? I want to be able to use my character.
But here's the thing, Dave. But the thing is, when you say that, right now, believe it or not, you may not believe this, but there are people out there that are having fun playing Citron, Jackie, so on. So should they stay because they're having fun with that, or are they a problem for the game? That's what we have to really discuss. You can't just be like, I don't care, I want my way. You have to discuss it for the whole community. Like, don't you want the game to grow?
I do.
Do you care if I say something? I apologize.
No problem.
I apologize for any interruptions compared to past podcasts, but this is a good topic and all that. So this is one of my favorite topics to talk about.
That's cool. Yeah, go ahead and comment, please.
I think what they should, it's with this whole fun thing being an issue for some characters outside of top 6 or top 5, whatever. I think to start off with, they should just complete these characters, put sauce on everybody's spaghetti, as they say, and then go from there with balance. I think if you made every character feel complete, not have any whiffing issues, not have these garbage slots being wasted. Like you have Melina, she has a different variants of the same moves, for example.
Noob's even better example than that. Half of Noob's custom moves are literally moves he has as default from MK games.
Yeah, like you should make these characters fun to play and complete them, because some have whiffing issues. These garbage customs, like for example, Fujin and Jackie, as we said, they're fun to play as. Their customs are just you could put anything on them, and they're a good character regardless of what the customs are. They have that freedom, and in my opinion, those characters are characters we look up to. Like I'm on Tom's side as far as the top tiers. Like we shouldn't nerf them. We should increase or we should buff the lower tiers to their level, because in my opinion, like those characters are like 99% complete. You can maybe name like one tiny issue they might have that might not be intended or something. Like I know a lot of Jackies are complaining about how their throws are whiffing, even though it's like you can like see it connect. It's like touching the opponent, but it still whiffs. Or like some people might say like Liu Kang's forward 4 whiffing issues, for example, like just minor stuff like that. Like it's whatever. But
Yeah,
I
it's
think
not about
completing
the top tier or the mids. It's also it's some of the other people that aren't in the top 5 that are like Shiva's not in the top 5. People dread
Okay.
that, and
But here's the thing. We keep shotgunning these statements out, like, dude, a ton of characters, a bunch of characters. No more of that. Tell me, out of the 37 characters in this game, who are the ones that are, quote, no sauce or garbage?
Shao Kahn,
list them
Melina,
off.
Scarlet, like she has a 2-slot move that makes her bubble go fast or slow. Like why is it 2
Noob
slots?
Saibot.
but it isn't just about fast.
Baraka even he has all these bullshit
Maybe.
flag attacks that cost like a slot.
Collector
Really
literally has
bad.
9 1s.
Melina,
Wait, why
same
did you
move,
mention?
different variation.
Why did you mention Noob though?
Because I was thinking about it, and to Tom's point, you look at a character like Noob, right? Why are half of his moves literally moves that should be his default? You're telling me I have to equip Ghost Ball, Disabler, Air Teleport, Shadows? Are you kidding me? Should those not be his default moves? He's
I
Noob Saibot. Why do I have
understand
to
it,
equip this? It's like Sub-Zero having to equip Slide or Scorpion having to equip Teleport.
Rio, but by your own logic, most people don't complain about him. For why would you mention him? According to your own logic.
Actually,
Well, look,
Dave,
Rio wants to bring
a lot of people do not like how Noob is not a premier zoner. You have been one of them. You've been the most
I
vocal on
know
that since day one.
that has nothing to do with your initial point about the reason.
No, my point is now I'm starting to think about your guys' ideas. And it's like, characters like Melina, Noob, so on. Like, why are half of their moves that should be their base move that they've always had? Why are they custom moves? Shouldn't Noob's custom moves be brand new moves that NRS made, and then he should have his default moves?
No, I agree with you entirely with that point, but that's not the initial point that you made. I think
I never made an initial point with Noob because I never thought about it like that.
I think I agree with you to the extent that he has a lot of moves that should be just regular moves, but then again, so do a lot of other.
It's not only Noob; it's a lot of characters.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's my point, though. But wouldn't you agree that the game would be better if a lot of these characters that could always do these moves from MK games, it was their base move, and then you had a brand new list of custom moves to choose from? Like, that's the point.
But also there are characters in this game who are completely bricked, and Dave can weigh on this in a second. And since Franco brought up Geras, who he plays, and Rhea talked about Noob and Dave Robocop, I want to say one thing about Sub-Zero. While he's very much like a Shiva situation, he is a very good character. But the reasons why he's good is terrible. People do it all the time. People don't like using him for the most part. They just use him. Okay, let me just try to overhead low. Maybe that'll open this guy up. I'm down 2 games or whatever. And no one likes fighting him for the same reasons. You feel like, dude, why is this in the game? And look, for me, it's like I don't even understand the design. It's like, okay, overhead low, I got it. He has all these tools. He's a mix machine, high damage, forward 2 fatal blow, robbery. I got it. You say, look, man, with these kind of 50-50s, he can't have a clone or ice puddle or Arctic, none of that stuff. But then they give him Arctic Trap and say, well, it can't be usable. So they make it -1,000,000. It's -70. And if it was -69, it probably would be banned. And then ground puddle, they nerf it to the ground, ban it anyway. I don't even understand. If you make a character to be an offensive machine, why give him moves contrary to that? And then either ban them or make them unusable, so at least he can't use them with the tools. I feel like some of the characters are bricked. You can't change Shiva around and keep the stomp the way it is. So she's kind of bricked, so to speak. You can't take Sub-Zero and change him around without a redesign because he's bricked. As long as he has this, he can't have that, and if he has that, he can't have this.
Can I tell you why
like-
these characters are bricked?
I feel like RoboCop's the same
Well,
way, Dave.
Rio, are we gonna accept like this? Why Sub-Zero bricked? And
No, but can I tell you why some characters are bricked?
go ahead.
Sure.
Because there's not enough moves. That's the issue. Some characters are designed to be good in a certain way, and there's not enough moves to customize and give them to make them be good in a different way.
Okay,
That's literally
but if
the
you
issue.
say
More
this
moves,
character's-
more moves that don't change the character. That's what literally the history of fighting games prove. But
Yeah,
the point is
and-
that, Tom, let me just
Yeah,
challenge you with the Sub-Zero argument.
Go ahead.
I think I agree with Rio on this one. Like Sub-Zero is actually original in this game. I understand you don't like it, and I personally don't like fighting against it, but
Mhm.
he's one of the few 50-50 characters in this game, which is kind of
Sure.
which is like
Sure.
a
Sure.
like a shout out to the MKX meta for those who those
Sure.
of you who want to play that game. But I understand your point. Like, why does he have these moves? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I probably their incompetence. Maybe some people would debate that. They're welcome to do so. I don't understand. Well, the reason he can't have a great trap move is very, very obvious.
Or great zoning moves.
Then
Exactly.
why give him one? Then why put it in?
I
the
know their incompetence because true things can be true at once.
Yeah, I understand that. I got it. He's an original character in this game. Not many 50. That's fine. But when they say, you know what, let's give him a move that mocks a clone, but it's not really a clone. But dude, it's got to be -70, right? Or we can't. So you put a move in the game.
Well, keep in mind though, if they give some of these characters their old iconic moves, do you want to make a Shiva situation
It's
again where
not- but
everybody
my point-
complains and it kills the
I
game?
understand that.
Because imagine Sub-Zero being able to put his ice clone up, running behind and going away. Do you think that would
It's-
really make the game
It's
grow?
not about having the clone. I understand why he can't have.
No, I'm not even talking about clone. I'm just saying ice trap. Like imagine they made his
Yeah,
ice trap.
And
Like you could
this
just
is
do
where
it.
we.
It's
This
quick.
is where we run into a wall. I say XYZ, and people are like, Tom, don't you understand why he can't have it? My argument is not why doesn't he have it. My argument is I understand why he can't have it because he does XYZ. So if your design is he can't have a move like that with a 50-50, why put it in the game but say, aha, we'll make it unusable for balance? Say he's going to be an offensive character, give him something else instead of a move that you intentionally design to be unusable or banned so he can't use, even though they nerf it to the ground and he can't use that anyway. So he's got.
Because Tom, to touch on my earlier point, it's because they don't have extra moves. Imagine Sub-Zero had extra moves that you could choose from that complement his ice trap. Like
someone designed that move and said, we are intentionally making it unusable because he has a 50-50. Why not just say, give him something else?
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. Is okay. You know how some moves in this game you have to equip one or more to make them shine.
Yes,
Like for example,
What are you saying?
if you have Raiden's low staff, you equip the other move that gives them the low shot and makes a launcher, right? Stuff like that. What I'm saying is, if they had more options to choose from, you could be like, okay, 2 slots for his ice trap move, and then you have another slot that even further makes the ice trap move better in a way. Like it even makes it quicker, makes it last longer, makes it have like
But
a meter
again,
burn amplified, things like
Can't
that.
do that because he's bricked. So he can't have anything that even resembles that and a 50-50. So
No. Actually, it wouldn't be broken because think about it. If you have those 3 slots for that means he can't combo off his overhead. So how would that be broken?
he'll just do overhead and a slide, amplify it into it. No, it still won't fly. He can't.
I mean, that's not as dumb as literally overhead into full combo every time you have meter.
Can't have anything like that and a 50-50. So why design something like that and make it unusable?
All right. Well, here's the thing.
A lot of characters.
I have to agree with Dave here. 50-50s were a problem in Mortal Kombat X because everybody did them. But in this game, it's literally only Sub-Zero and Terminator. That's kind of his game plan.
So
Like he's
why
different.
give him a move that he can't use? Or
I mean,
2
like,
of them,
I
one of them
think-
that you ban.
Hold on, let Crimson respond. Go ahead.
I think you could go in circles all day, but I think the answer is when you're making a game with 40 characters in it and you have a limited amount of time to do it and they all have a ton of special moves, like while we like to think that everyone has this huge master plan where they sit down for 2 years and they figure out exactly what every character is going to be before they make the moves and they design every single animation around that and every single special move and they're all super useful and stuff like that, that is never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. If I gave you the tools to sit down and make the same game in the same amount of time, it would also not happen and people would rage at you, I guarantee. To me, this is a subjective thing. It's fine to say like, okay, I don't really like this, or I don't like that this isn't usable. But at the end of the day, this is not what's killing the game, right?
At the
Like,
end of the day, what's killing the
it's
game is
okay.
Everest is incompetent.
It's okay to have a character that just does mix all day, and for people who like to mix all day, that's the character that they play. And yeah, okay, not every single move in the game is going to be what you want it to be, but that is never going to happen. The more moves you have, the more moves you add to the game, guaranteed the more of them will end up being useless. The less moves you have in the game, the easier it is to make sure that they all make sense. So as long as we're in the system where you have a million choices, it's not going to be like a million perfect choices, and you have to accept that. There's no other way.
Yeah, also what Crimson is saying, we need to be more clear and stuff. Like, for example, if the problem is Sub-Zero is not fun to play, then how do we fix that? How do we, fix him for the next version? We have to really talk about it and make it clear. Like, what are the issues and how do we fix it?
Well, it's not even about that because really.
No, but I'm saying is how do we fix Sub-Zero then? Like, how would you fix
Overhaul? No other way to do it. The same.
Yeah, but how would you do it though? Like, what are your ideas to Overhaul?
I had some ideas, but I'll
Make
let
forward
Tom
2,
speak
make it a
some.
mid, make it like 13 frames, make it a mid, make
See,
forward.
but then
2,
you take away everything that makes that character fun for mixed players to play.
And unique.
Again,
he wouldn't be unique
here's
anymore.
My problem. They take RoboCop. They split him in two. They say he's going to be a premier zoner. Oh, wait a minute. We gave him a command grab. So the problem is he's whatever with zoning, but he can't be too good of a zoner because he has a command grab. But he can't be too good of an up close character because he has a projectile. But at least he's more in the middle, which is, I guess, since he's not super.
Well, the thing is, the RoboCop situation is different from Sub-Zero because Sub-Zero's 50/50 is a core part of his kit.
Makes him
RoboCop, there's a way for RoboCop to make Enter as a good zoner and address the command grab. Just give him a brand new projectile that can't get low profile. It's super good. You can combine it with his other zoning moves, and then make it so his command grab is not compatible. So there you go. Now you can make him a really good zoner.
Designing Sub-Zero.
The same can apply to Sub-Zero because his general kit is 50/50.
If I was designing Sub-Zero, for example, I would say, okay, he's going to be an original character in this game. He's going to mix. When I'm going through his moves, I wouldn't say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this move in just for fluff. It'll look like it should be like this, but I'm going to make it unusable on purpose because
you gotta let that go. You just
okay. Wait. Wait. Hold on. We have to be correct here. The move's not unusable. Can we stop saying the move's unusable? It's useful. It's usable in some matchups, and also it actually makes his mix-ups better because have you seen? No, it's only unusable in some matchups.
I think he means it's banned.
No, Arctic Trap.
No, he's talking about the Arctic Trap.
It's unusable.
The
Arctic Trap.
Yeah, it's useful. It's useful in some matchups. But my point is,
not anymore.
I'm not sure if Tom has ever seen Ninja Killer use it, but he's used it, and it's actually amplified his mix-up game. Like I've seen him do a mix-up, grab somebody.
To quote Ninja Killer, it's no longer good in those situations because they get up 9 frames faster. So now, when you could set it up when they delay wake up, they can delay wake up and still get up and blow it up. Because they get up 9 frames faster. So
that's true. I haven't seen.
All right. Okay. So if the move got nerfed, then why not just put ideas on how NRS could buff it or make it better or give it a meter burn or something?
I think Tom, hold on. Tom, we're asking.
But if this is making the character, if this is like a problem for the character, why not address it?
Because you can't have them both. You can't have both the 50/50 and that.
But I don't understand because last version he had both, so how come he can't have it now?
Because it was still crap.
If last version he had the 50/50 and that, and he could use on some characters, why not?
Because he didn't have that and Rising Ice in the same variation, where both overhead and low went to a full.
So why not make it not compatible then? There he goes. Now you have last version Sub-Zero. We had a good Arctic Trap.
I thought you were against removing options. I thought you were all keeping as many options.
No, but Dave, see, this is removing options. This is making a move useful. Right now, if the move is unusable and it's making Sub-Zero like an issue, then why not address it, make it usable?
Moves cannot exist and be good with the. What Arctic Trap really needs is all of its frames, startup and recovery cut in half. That's what it needs, and that's not going to happen. And that cannot happen as long as he has the 50.
I think Crimson, answered the question about 50 minutes ago. Some characters are going to play the way they are. You can add as many moves as you can. Again, not to be disrespectful, if you play ever fighting games in your life, you should know this. Lay in Tekken having 200 moves doesn't add anything. Never made him top tier and probably never will. That's a straw man's argument, and can we please stop spamming that argument on the podcast? Because honestly, it's an ignorant argument. It's a stupid argument. It
depends how you do them. It depends how you make the moves. If Lei has 200 crappy moves, then that's a Lei thing, not really a 200 move thing.
Shiva can't have X, Y, or Z or the stomp. You could say, give Shiva this, give Shiva that, give Shiva this. Those things cannot exist.
Well, if we're showing NRS that, if we're telling NRS that, hey, NRS, you can't have characters have this and that, then aren't we literally telling them to not do that? Because if we tell them, hey, NRS, you can do that, you can have Shiva stomp and then have a good footsies and this and that, then they'll maybe think about it, be like, you know what? They're saying it's okay, we can do it, let's do it. Right now, we're telling them, we're literally telling NRS that we can't do that, so they're probably not going to do it.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to say my last piece, and you guys can close it out, because this is really, it's always going to go in circles. At the end of the day, I'm so tired of hearing NRS this, NRS that. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You do a combat cast where you say, here's the armor break mechanic, and you show examples that don't actually work. You intentionally...
Tom, I feel like you don't understand, but I'm on your side. I get what you're saying. I don't know how many times I have to say this. No, you don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying is, okay, you said NRS doesn't know what they're doing. Again, what I'm saying is, can we help them and tell them what to do? That's all I'm saying.
Let me ask you this.
How can they fix the game?
Let me ask you this. What game just had a big update?
Street Fighter 5.
Street Fighter 5.
Do you know how many pages the patch notes are for Street Fighter 5's new update?
60 to
Probably 10.
60 to 70.
60 pages, 57 pages. Rio, do you know how many pages the MK Ultimate patch notes were?
Tom, well, okay, since you want to go there, I've been saying that NRS should add new content and do things in a big patch. You've been saying it's never going to come and it's not going to happen. So, should they not do it then? Should they not do a big, massive patch because you say it's not going to happen and not going to come?
Massive patch requires an overhaul.
Or it requires the community to say, hey, we want a big patch. Can you guys do it? And then probably they'll listen.
We've been saying it.
Tom, you've been saying it's never going to happen for months, dude. You've been like negative on this.
Over 2 years in, it hasn't happened. It's not going to happen.
I understand that, but can we stop telling NRS to not do it and it's not going to happen?
Not saying not doing it.
Let's come together, say NRS, release a massive patch. If we all say that, they'll be like, you know what? They really want a big patch. Let's do it.
That patch has the O word in it. Overhaul. And
That's what Tom has been getting blown up for suggesting that for a long time. I don't think it's fair. And again, I don't agree with Tom on many things.
Wait. So you're telling me that NRS wouldn't overhaul the game even though they've overhauled this game multiple times? That doesn't make any sense.
In what extent did they overhaul?
Well, Tom told me last podcast, he said an overhaul is when, you know, change frame data, this and that. You know, you tweak an overall cast. They've overhauled the jump kicks in the game. They overhauled flawless blocking early in the game, guys remember? They overhauled the breakaway mechanic.
Hold on a minute. Are the anti-airs fine in your opinion after they overhauled quote unquote the jump?
Well, which character do you want me to play? Because if I speak on the characters I play, sadly my characters have consistent anti-airs.
I know.
So do you want me to speak as the characters I'm playing, or do you want me to speak through your character? Which character?
Never mind.
Give me a character and I'll give you an answer.
Franco,
if you say Aaron Black, I'll say his anti-airs aren't good. Who do you want me to say?
Can you please you get the last comment as a guest before we close?
I don't understand. Crimson's tells us to be specific and address things, and it's like we don't want to be specific.
This is the point I want to make. At the bottom line,
do you want me to say Noob Saba has bad anti-airs? Then go ahead, buff his anti-airs.
Rio, enough of this.
Rio, you've had enough of your comments.
We have to end this.
Yeah, Franco, can you?
At the end of the day, because I want you guys to.
All right, sure. Can you buff Noob Sabat's anti-airs, please? He can't answer.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop.
I want you guys listening to understand this. We have made excuse after excuse for NetherRealm. Maybe this, maybe that. They have a plan. We treat NRS like God in the Bible. They move, something bad happens, it's you know, something good happens, it's their will. Something bad happens.
Tom, I don't think you realize, but almost everybody hates NRS in the game.
Okay, guys, you gotta stop. That's it.
No, I just feel like you have to be accurate though. Stop lying. Tom, a lot of people do not like NRS. A lot of people do not like the game. You need to be. Tom, I get that, but at least speak the truth. Speak the truth.
I am speaking the truth.
You're telling me, you're saying that everybody likes NRS and likes the game? Are you kidding me? That's not what I read.
Let me finish.
Okay, finish your point. You got a minute.
We have people who act like something bad happens. It's, you know, NRS moves and something good happens. NRS moves in mysterious ways. Something bad happens. Oh, you know, it's whatever. They treat it like Jesus in the Bible. Like, oh, you know, it's all part of the grand NRS plan. The bottom line is, if you look at how their competitors have a plan, the content, the overhauls, the patch notes, you can clearly see these companies thought things out. The way the content is done, not just in the new characters, but to the way the game is changing and shifting. They actually sat down and thought about this, and you can tell some of this is them listening to the community. And you can see this in the depth of the change of the game. NRS's patch notes, or even their quote-unquote overhauls, that's a joke, reek of incompetence. It reek of, we're going to do the bare minimum possible just to shut these people up. You want a third variation? We'll just slap something in the game. That's why you get Truth and Life Raiden and Upgraded Jackie in the same patch. That's why you got Armor Breaker. Some work, some don't, some are unusable, whatever. That's why you got the variation system with customs, with this move banned, this move not, this default. Everything in the game, even the ultimate patch notes, they're big. They're meta changer. This is going to change the meta. And the patch notes are 1.5 pages long. And by the way, 90% of those patch notes, every character down 1 adjusted, down 4 adjusted. For those who say down 1s and down 4s is not part of the game like that. Bottom line is, again, they're competitors. You can tell there is well thought out and conscious change. It takes 60 fucking pages to read what they did. NRS, you can read their patch notes in a paragraph.
This actually leads me to my next question. I think this
No,
should I
there's
guess be
no
the
next question.
last question.
No,
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 just really quickly because this is the perfect way to close us out.
There's no next.
And I want to
No,
ask Franco and you
Rio,
guys. I
excuse
just want to
me.
say
No. There's no next question. Frank,
no, but really just a quick question. Then
you
we'll
promised for an hour. You're again ranting. Can you please stop?
I'm ranting.
Yes.
Okay.
Franco, go ahead and close out the podcast, please, as a guest. What is your last comment about anything you want to mention?
Man, this is gonna be a sad comment because
But
I think ending
I understand that.
yeah, but
I have a really juicy question. I think a lot of people.
I think we should let this. I think
Go ahead, Franco.
man, I really want to.
Franco, wait. Do you want to listen to the question?
Yeah,
No, there's no
Okay.
next question.
So my question.
There's no next question. I have to. You promised to keep the podcast.
All right. Well, Dave, if you want to leave, we totally respect that. If you guys want, I'll continue the podcast
Okay,
just for like 5 minutes for the rest. If Dave has to go
Okay,
right now.
no problem. Have a good evening, everybody. Bye.
You too, Dave. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it. All right. So my last question to you guys was going to be: now that Street Fighter V has this massive overhaul and games like Guilty Gear are coming out, there's a lot of people, specifically in the NRS community, playing MK11 that are announcing that they're leaving and they're done playing the game and they're going to games that are better. They're going to Street Fighter V. They're going to Guilty Gear. What do you guys think about that? Do you think it's kind of over for NRS and we're pretty much going to lose a lot of the players that we have?
I mean, they lost me, but as far as everybody else, and I never played this Guilty Gear game before. I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, this game's unfixable," and never suggest anything. But 'cause I understand where you're coming from, like you and Tom going back and forth about that. Like, not saying like there's no way to fix it or that they won't fix it. Like, I don't think that's the right way to go about things. Like, I have my own suggestions, but like to keep it long story short, I think what they should do is for the variation system, they should make everything one slot and have no conflictions, including input conflictions. And obviously not just that alone, but also adjust things like character specifically. But yeah, it would take pages of changes to do that kind of stuff. That's just my opinion, though. That's just to start off with, like as far as what NRS could do to balance the game.
Yeah. What about you, Crimson?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not really worried about losing a lot of people to other games because as much as people say that, we've been through this before with like Killer Instinct and stuff where everyone was like, yo, I'm going to go hard. I'm switching to KI. And then after 2 months, they come back. And the reason why is there's just something about our games that is different than those games, Like, it's easy to say I'm going to become a Guilty Gear main and pick it up. But when you're playing against people that have been playing those games for like years and years and years, it's hard, right? You get over that initial rush of, whoa, this is fun, it's different. Then it turns into the grind and a lot of people come back. However, I think that now that we're 2 years into the game, this is a great time to shake things up, right? This is perfect timing for the shake things up patch.
I agree a
and
lot.
To Tom's point, right, we've been conservative for almost 2 years now, right? I think at this point, we've seen plenty of being conservative, and we shouldn't be afraid of doing something bigger. And I think doing that, to your point, Rio, will help make things fresh again. It'll help bring people back again. It's just a good time for it. So I say, yeah, go for it. Whatever the major balance patch is, now is the time to do it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Tom, your opinion?
I think this game has absolutely no shot of surviving as it is in its current form. It's not just about fighting games coming out. It's about, there's a lot of stuff. BlizzCon just happened, Diablo 2, whatever it is. It's a remake, not a rematch, but remaster is coming out.
Diablo 2 remake?
Yeah, it's a remaster, not a remake. It's not a remaster. It's I forgot the name they used.
It's like Warcraft 3
No,
Reforged, right?
Yeah, it's not Reforged though. It's not a remake. It's just a remaster. It's the same game. They're just basically making it more modern with quality of life options, etc. But there's a lot of other games that are slated to come out. Doesn't have to just be a fighting game. The problem is Ultimate just came out a couple of months ago, and already some top players are done with it for a little bit. They're playing more casually than competitively. They're still making videos after a major patch. Here's what's wrong with the game, and it's the same issues that we were talking about from day one, which is kind of disappointing. After a major patch, you have 3 new characters. Nobody cares about Rambo. Nobody cares about Melina. Rain is the most cared about, but I mean, it's the ultimate flair is already gone, and we're 2 months into Ultimate. It came out in December. We're mid-February, so it's like 2.5 months. Sure. Can they fix it? Can they overhaul the game? Sure. I see no proof that they're going to do that, and if they do, here's how we fix Melina. We gave her an overhead. Problem solved. I don't really know that that's. I have no faith. They've shown me nothing to give me any faith thus far in this game because we've been waiting and waiting. Should we keep saying, surely this is going to be the patch, right? Okay, this is going to be the patch. Ultimate, they literally said, and I quote, we're going to shake things up with the biggest meta changer in the game. And the game is, while it is being played, it's more flat than it should be at this point after such a major quote unquote update with its 1.5 pages of patch notes. I think I could see a Kombat Pack 3 where they'll probably resell you characters you already own, Cyrex, Sector, and Chronica, because what they've shown is they're willing to do the least amount of work possible. We'll give you Terminator by just slapping a Terminator skin on Jason Voorhees. You know, the least amount of effort is what they've shown. So whatever the least amount of effort it is to produce content, that's what I believe they'll give you. They'll probably give you Sector, Cyrex, Chronica. The Finny has already said their character select screens, their character select portraits have they have a portrait spot now in the select screen, and 2 of those 3 characters even have files for their arcade mode ending, for their tower ending. So it's very reasonable to believe those characters will probably be added, which again, they're just reselling you characters you already own right now on your game. So that just follows suit with what's happened thus far in this game. And they'll probably give you 2 new characters. One will probably be a guest character and maybe Reptile or Smoke or something like that. But all that, again, will be lost if the game stays the way it is. Those 5 characters within a month or 2, the flair of that, the excitement of that will die down. And all the top players will go back to making YouTube videos again, talking about, here's my problem with the same issues we talked about from day one of the game. If they overhaul the game, sure, there's a lot of hope for it because the system is there to be great. If we didn't think the game had the potential to be the best ever, we wouldn't still be passionate about it. We wouldn't. People that don't actually like a game, people that don't want to play a game, they don't spend all day talking about it. They don't make videos about it. They don't stream it. They don't watch tournaments for it. They don't hang out and discuss the game because they say, you know what, there's no saving it. It's done. The fact that people do like the game and they want to love it, and they do find the game interesting despite its problems is why we keep doing this. It's why tournaments are watched, tournaments are played. People are still playing everyday online Combat League and making content. But at a certain point, it's done. It cannot survive the next 12 months as it is right now. But I do think they're going to do it. They're going to do a combat pack.
When I brought Street Fighter and Guilty Gear as examples for this question, I didn't want to just randomly pick out games for no reason, you know? It's just, what I see people posting is a lot of people are saying, hey man, you know, I'm out, Street Fighter 5 updates here, Guilty Gear is coming, you know, I'm gonna go play, you know, these games that are actually balanced, they're good, they reward players that are, you know, have skill, and it's not the opposite, like a lot of people feel about MK11.
I could bring up another game to add to the list too, if you don't mind.
Yeah, but I just wanted to feel like I'm not only specifically bringing up Street Fighter and Guilty Gear at a random, you know, I'm just mentioning them because I've seen a lot of people post from the NRS community saying that, hey, you know, I'm out, Guilty Gear is coming, Street Fighter updates out, you know, I'm leaving.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but we go through this.
Yeah, you could go, Krim, you could go.
I was just gonna say we go through this literally like every 2 years, like
every 2 years.
And that's not to say that no one is gonna leave, because obviously some people will. Some people will hit Guilty Gear and they'll love it, and that'll be it. But Dragon Ball FighterZ was the exact same thing. Remember when everyone was like, "Yo, this game is shaking up the FGC. It's dope. It looks awesome. I'm leaving. I'm gonna play this. See you guys later." And then within 3 months, they were all back. So I'm just saying, like, people always say this stuff, but what people say and they do are 2 different things.
That is very true.
Good point. But again, I still think what's going to happen is NRS. Here's their business model. They're going to wait until MK11 Ultimate is on its death of deathbeds, and then they're going to say, aha! You thought we were done, boys. New content, 5 new characters. Hey, nothing changed, but hey, and 3 of them you already own. Thanks for the cash, dog. We appreciate that. Thanks for rebuying it. And
See, here's the whole thing. I would say, you know what? Maybe they're not going to update the game anymore or do overhaul or do anything for it, and they're going to move on. But when you look at the last 2 NRS games, they did the same thing with Injustice 2. Remember when interactables were absolutely awful and I was like the only person complaining about them? And then they actually overhauled the entire system for it and actually balanced them, which we thought would never happen. And then the same thing with Mortal Kombat X. The game was 50-50 fest, this and that. People were like, the game's never going to get changed. Literally, 2 years later, they overhaul it. So, going from those 2 games,
and
maybe...
nobody cared. It never recovered.
That's true. People didn't care about MKX when it happened.
Yeah,
but,
sadly, MKX
so I want to go to my last question, and then we have to wrap it up. Yeah. So I want to go to one more question, and we're going to wrap it up because we're approaching 2 hours. So my question to you is, when do you guys think that a fighting game developer should give up on their game? Like, how much time do you think they should go through before they're like, okay, it's time to throw it out, let's do a new project? Do you think it's 1 year, 2 years? How many years do you think a game should have before it's time to move on and pack it up and they need to go focus on a different game? Franco, would you like to start?
I think you guys can go ahead first.
All right, Crimson. Like, would you guys say that a fighting game needs a time limit where they need to do something where they move on, or do you think it's like how long would you say?
I mean,
I feel like it's a weird question, honestly.
Yeah, it's gonna be different.
I don't
for
know
every
if it's
dev.
I don't know if it necessarily needs a time
for example,
limit,
NRS has a publisher in Warner Brothers. So say Ed Boon tomorrow says, you know what? We got to do an overhaul. He hits up Warner Brothers. We need X amount of money. We're doing an overhaul. Warner Brothers says, come on, man, a free overhaul and a combat pack. Why don't you just do this? Make your 5 characters, slap them together, roll them out quick. 3 of them they already own. Just resell it to them. Money talks, boys. And, make them playable on their disc. And as far as an overhaul goes, let's just start working on the next title where you can sell them said overhaul for $99.99 for the premiere package. Because I do think no matter what they want to do, the publisher, to them, it comes down to dollars and cents. How much money is it going to cost versus how much money it's going to make? So a lot of times we can't just say, oh, abandon it, because NRS right now could say, you know what? We rushed a lot of things. We put a lot of new stuff in the game. We had no idea how we wanted the game to play out. We had no idea how a lot of these new things would play out. Now we have all this information. We know exactly how we want to change in this overhaul. But publisher says, you know what you're going to make versus what you're going to spend, that doesn't add up. Make your combat pack and sell them all those changes in a new game. And I think we have to take that in consideration too.
Here's one thing that they could do, and this is something some other companies have done, is to have a guy that's like, what was that guy's name that did the MK9 patch? Was it NSR or whatever his name is?
It was Hector. Hector Sanchez?
No. The guy that did the overhaul, like the rebounds for MK9.
Oh, you mean MK? Oh, Future Time. Yeah, I thought you were talking about like NRS. Like back then, I didn't know you were talking about the fan-made project.
Yeah. So what you could do, and some companies do this, they hire a couple people to basically do that, right? They can't do super major stuff. They can't do like new mocap and stuff. But while the next project is going on, they can at least do bounce, right? They can change frames, they can change slots, they can change move properties and stuff like that, and they can keep basically doing rebound stuff that's not completely new content. And
do you mean like as in like they can work with what they have but change
exactly.
it? Okay, that would be so awesome.
Yep.
That sounds so cool.
That is a really cool idea to do that.
The game has a lot of that in it already. The game already has a lot of hooks in the game. They didn't have these in MK9, but they have a lot more hooks in the game now to change things like this very easily. Change a overhead to a mid, a low to a mid to a low, speed to move up, slow it down, safe, unsafe. They have a lot of hooks.
Give this armor, take armor.
Yeah, they have a lot of hooks in the game now that could be very easy to do with just a tweak bar. So you don't even need to be like an end-all be-all to do it if they gave you the tools. Like if they actually flew someone out to NRS, sat you down right there in front of it and said, tweak bar this, tweak bar that, they could actually do that. and then they could circulate it because obviously somebody couldn't just do it on their PC and circulate it out to PSN, all that stuff, right? It has to be done, for everybody to get it. They could do that, and they might do that before Christ comes back, But I mean, who knows? I mean, I just don't see that happening. I mean,
Yeah, so closing this off, I just want to give my opinion. I think the only reason why I think NRS is going to do another patch for this game and update and probably an overhaul is because we're 2 months away from a Mortal Kombat movie coming out, and dude, the trailer for the movie, it's almost got like 10 million views, and there's going to be a lot of attention on Mortal Kombat.
True.
So if there's any time for NRS to be like, yo, let's update that MK11 to cash in on all these people that are going to be watching this movie, I think it's safe to say that they will probably be doing it 2 months from now when the movie comes out, and that would be the smartest way to do it.
About the trailer, what are your thoughts on the trailer?
Well, I actually, going into the movie trailer, I thought it was going to be really bad because of Annihilation. I liked the first MK movie, even though people said it was cheesy and horrible. But
it's iconic.
This film, going into this, I was expecting the trailer to be really awful, but I was surprised. It had me hooked. I was interested. I like how they had Jax lose his arms to Sub-Zero, because originally he loses it to Goro, and then in MK9 they had Ermac take it. But I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's pretty believable. Sub-Zero takes his arms. That's how they have Jax getting his arms. And they go into the rest of the characters, and personally, I liked it. The trailer, I'm saying if the movie's half as good as the trailer was, I think it'll be a good film, just to be entertained. And they finally have fatalities back. I'm so excited for that. It's going to be gory and have fatalities. And also, why is Kano? It seems like Kano's one of the good guys, but I don't know. Maybe he'll turn on them at the end. But I thought that was kind of weird how Kano's like on the good side. He's kind of like replaced Johnny in a way. What about you guys?
Yeah,
what do you guys think about the film trailer?
Have you seen the trailer?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things I really like. Like, first of all, let's say the story is probably going to be like what it is, right? It might not win any Oscars, but we don't really expect it to, right? The most important thing is that it's fun and that it's true to the franchise. And I think, as far as the point about being true to the franchise, I think it was obvious from a lot of the details, from character designs to specific moves to creative stuff, like the stuff that Sub-Zero was doing with the freezing of the blood and stuff like that. I think it's obvious that they really actually know the franchise and that they're really making a movie for fans. They're not just using the IP to make a movie that says Mortal Kombat and is nothing like the universe, right? So I think that's cool. I think the guy Louis Tan or whatever was saying that he made an effort to incorporate like real fight styles and stuff that's more visceral, right? So they didn't do the old school, all right, like let's use Kung Fu because it looks cool, right? They were like, let's use MMA. They mentioned like Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu and stuff like that. And I think because of that, like the fight scenes look way more visceral and they look really cool. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I think that's my overall opinion. Like I'm really happy that they actually kind of want to do the fans and the universe justice. And I'm not expecting like the best story ever, but I'm expecting it'll be really entertaining and the fights will be good, and I think that'll be really fun.
Franco, what about you?
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched the trailer because I heard of what people were saying. I heard good and bad, and I don't know who this Cole character is for the story, but it sounds bad story wise, honestly. But I did hear the fight scenes and the Sub-Zero stuff was really good. So, I mean, if it's a movie I can watch for the action, I mean, I'm cool with that. But the story, like Krim said, I definitely don't think the story is going to be any good at all from what I've been reading and hearing.
Damn, Franco, who are you? Shang Tsung? Has to be an imposter. I never thought I would see Franco lose interest in an NRS game, and now you don't even watch the movie trailer? Holy crap. Tom, how about your opinions?
When I first saw the trailer, I thought it was really interesting. I liked it, and I did like the scene where Sub-Zero he blocks the gun, and then the bullet comes out, and he kind of blocks it by freezing the bullet, and then Jack goes to punch him. He blocks the punches, freezes him, shatters his arms. I was like, "Well, that was really sick." And a lot of the trailer looked really, really good. But I was kind of curious to see who this Cole Young guy was as well. Like, what's the deal? Because I was worried, like, are they going to do something like the Street Fighter movie where they took Ken and Ryu and made them like some street hustlers up, some random bums off the street? They were like a side story, right? Are they going to make Liu Kang some random bum and Cole Young is like the new, like, I know. So I was worried about. I'm obviously worried about that. But I didn't like the breaking news that came out after the trailer, where the MK movie announced that NRS didn't like some of the scenes. They made them remove all of Sub-Zero's defensive moves, and they banned one of his.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, dude! Are you
my
serious?
Hold on. This is breaking news. They banned. He had another move in the trailer. They said he can use that in the trailer, but that move is banned in the actual tournament. And the studio says, "What are we going to replace these moves with?" And they said, "Replace it with an overhead." So instead of him catching the punches and shattering them, that's defense. They're making him just do an overhead, which slices his arms off. So that new
Dude.
that movie that new edit will be in the theater the movie that comes out. So.
Dude, come on, we gotta be serious. We all thought the trailer was gonna be horrible crap. Franco, I recommend you watch it.
The
It's
Cole
very
Young
interesting.
thing has me cautious. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get the whole idea why they're doing it. They want to have a new person that's like the audience in a way. It's like, who's this person? We gotta explain everything to him. This is, you know, this character. This guy has ice powers. You know, you gotta.
But it's a Resident Evil problem. It's like,
Exactly, you have to introduce Alice, and it's like, wait, who's Alice? What are all these powers? She's literally destroying everything. What do you guys mean?
I feel like Paul Anderson.
I hope they don't do what Tom said and they make Cole kind of replace like Liu Kang, whatever, and he's like the champion, because it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, like look at Resident Evil. You got Paul Anderson, who goes to like probably like I forget whatever company made for the funding and said, "Here's my idea. This girl I'm sleeping with, Mila Jovovich. Picture Super Saiyan 4 Goku in Resident Evil, right?" And they're right, and then they were like, "I love it." Dude, like I watched Nemesis, and I was like, "Alice versus Nemesis. Who the fuck is Alice?" He didn't even touch her. She kicked the shit out of him. He couldn't even hit her. Like I was like,
dude, Alice is too OP, man.
Even when they took her powers,
they had to nerf her and take away her powers, and she was still destroying everybody.
They took her powers, and they're like, "Wait a minute, Wesker didn't see those quarters in that gun." I was like, "No, even Wesker."
Yeah, I don't want to see Cole become that, because that would kind of be like, come on, man. But in terms of the movie, like, some things are really hard to top from the first film. Like, do you guys remember the Shang actor, the Liu Kang actor, Raiden from the first one? Some of those actors in the first film, like Liu Kang, Raiden, Shang, to me, they're hard to replace. I don't know. I'm not saying I don't have faith.
There's no Johnny Cage.
No, he's not. I didn't see him in the trailer, but we don't know.
For Cole Young,
but
boys,
I hope these new actors can do a good job. I'm sure they're very talented, but it's gonna be hard to top the original Liu Kang, the original Shang Tsung, the Raiden, you know. But like I said, I have high hopes for it. I hope it's gonna be really fun to watch, and it's gonna be a blast.
Well, we will see.
Yep, indeed. And with that, I'm gonna wrap up the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on as a guest, and Tom, Crimson, and Dave. I appreciate having you guys on. Guys, keep in mind we do watch the audience, and we do have a few more changes coming to next episode, so bear with us, please. And thank you again so much for watching.
God bless Cole Young.